Chapter 519. The next morning, Zhongting's secretary received a call from Huang Yao. Sheng Kai wanted to meet Xing Xiao. The secretary knocked on Xing Xiao's office door and asked, "President, are you willing to meet him? If you don't want to meet the Sheng family, I can decline on your behalf." Xing Xiao did not even look up. He was focused on his own matters. He naturally squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. "I won't meet him." Xing Xiao did not even look up. He was focused on his own matters. He naturally squeezed out 2 words from between his teeth. "I won't meet him." He could not wait to go home to see his little one. He did not want to meet those irrelevant people. "I understand, President." The secretary closed the door and looked at Xing Xiao's schedule. Only then did he arrange an unimportant time for Sheng Kai to meet him. Of course, if Sheng Kai wanted to meet him, he would not move a single step away. If Sheng Kai had something to ask, he would have to meet him himself. Huang Yao's new secretary answered Sheng Kai, "Zhongting gave you a time from 1 to 2 in the afternoon. But you have a meeting at that time, President. Postpone it." To be honest, Sheng Kai was really good to Gu Xiling. Now that the Gu family was in a precarious situation, he did not abandon his wife. He did not hold an important meeting just to help her solve her troublemaking uncle. But would begging Xing Xiao work? He knew very well that it was useless. But since he had asked, he had to put it into practice. Only then could he save his dignity in front of his wife. "Where is the meeting place?" "At Zhongting." Sheng Kai nodded and sent his secretary away. This was good. He could also let him see how shocking and enviable Zhongting was. At 12:30 in the afternoon, Sheng Kai arrived at Zhongting early. But Xing Xiao was still in a meeting. The secretary led Sheng Kai into Xing Xiao's office. So this was Xing Xiao's new kingdom. It was not as luxurious as Huang Yao's office. The whole office was simple, but it was more high-tech and several times bigger. Especially when standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows, one could see the whole of Jianchuan. It was indeed a good place. After a while, the secretary opened the office door. Xing Xiao walked in. Seeing Sheng Kai sitting on the sofa, he waved his hand to let the secretary out. "What's the matter?" Xing Xiao put down the documents and sat down on the sofa opposite Sheng Kai. "You've become so calm." "I'm not used to it." Sheng Kai looked at Xing Xiao and felt that he had really changed a lot. The once flamboyant and crazy Xing Xiao was no longer there. Instead, he was replaced by this calm and composed man. "Let's get straight to the point, Chief Xing," said Xing Xiao. "You've heard about what happened to the Gu clan. I'm here today because of Uncle Xiling. He's involved in a murder case and Chi won't let him go." "It's not that Chi doesn't want to let him go. It's that he's the one who has fallen into the hands of the police. Although I guessed that you would come, I thought that you would tell me something new about the murder case. It's better to listen to the police's arrangement. As long as you're willing to help, you can definitely stop the police from investigating. First of all, as a legal citizen while enjoying my rights, I also have to fulfill my obligations. Being rich doesn't mean that I can override the law. I won't do that, and I advise you not to do that," Xing Xiao answered directly. "You are not a person who plays by the rules. I may not play by the rules, but it doesn't mean that I don't obey the law. It's understandable that you want to help your wife. It's understandable that Chi wants to help the mother and son who died tragically. But let me tell you clearly, I won't interfere in this matter. I can't interfere." Sheng Kai was very serious when he said this to Xing Kai. After hearing Xing Xiao's words, Xing Kai suddenly chuckled. "Eighth brother, you've changed a lot. You weren't such a compassionate person before. If you don't have anything else, I have another meeting to attend. Actually, I'm here to see how free you are now after trying so hard to escape from the Xing family. Sure enough, you're full of freedom. Have you ever regretted throwing the burden of Huang Yao to me?" "Why should I regret?" Xing Xiao retorted. "That should have been your burden." Xing Xiao laughed mockingly. "I thought that after half a year the Xing family should have improved. But I'm disappointed. You're still acting so matter-of-factly and self-centered. Whether it's the police investigating the case or the knot in your heart, does it seem like the whole world revolves around the Xing family? Let me tell you something. Soon, Tiffany and Company will be in trouble. If you still want to work with Tiffany and Company, you'll be relieved of your responsibility very soon. Because Grandpa Xing will be completely disappointed in you. You and third brother are really in cahoots. I don't need him to know what you're doing." Xing Xiao got up from the sofa. "It seems that you're not really here to ask for help. You don't have such an attitude. If you really want me to remember our relationship, you wouldn't have spoken so rudely. Should I feel sad for second sister-in-law? If I can give you something to convince Xiao Qi, will you consider it?" "I have everything you have." So, what do you think you can give me to make me agree? Then why do you want to see me? Sheng Kai's voice was cold. You should know why I'm here. Since you agreed to see me, didn't you give me a glimmer of hope? It's out of politeness. You want to take revenge on me for humiliating you, right? Sheng Kai guessed. When you were down and out, I made things difficult for you. Actually, I want to advise you to let the Gu family cooperate with the investigation. Otherwise, once the case is exposed, the whole Gu family will be involved in a scandal. It'll be even scarier than now. Alright, I've already seen your office. I appreciate your kindness, but I really shouldn't have wasted my time here. Having said that, Sheng Kai got up from the sofa. Because he thought that he could beg Xing Xiao and put in a good word for him. But when he saw that Xing Xiao was more outstanding than him, his self-esteem started to go crazy again. He clearly had something to ask of Xing Xiao. But in the end it became a tit-for-tat between him and Xing Xiao. However, since he had put it this way, Sheng Kai was not afraid of going overboard. It's fine if you don't want to do it. But if I do it, I won't hold back. If little sister-in-law is hurt, don't blame me for not warning you. You can try. Chapter 520. Xing Xiao did not tell Xiao Qi'er that Sheng Kai had come to him. After all, the fate of the Gu family had nothing to do with her. The Sheng family thought that Qi'er was taking the chance to make trouble for the Sheng family, but only he knew that Mu Qiqi would stand up for her no matter which family she came across today. Hence, she went straight to the forensics lab after class, wanting to know the latest development of the case. Professor, have you found the biological father of the child? The professor shook his head and answered Mu Qiqi, the truth is more complicated than you think. The deceased never had a lover. After escaping from a rich family, she lived alone and worked in a restaurant. The police asked the deceased's colleagues. Her best friend told them that the deceased was forced to give birth to the child. Why would the victim seek out the biological father of the child on her own? Did she have any grudges with anyone? She has a weak personality and never makes enemies out of others. The professor explained. But from the wounds on the body, there must be a deep grudge to do such a thing. It's a pity that the deceased's ex-husband refused to cooperate with the investigation. Did you find out why the victim met that scumbag? No one knows why the deceased died so tragically after seeing her ex-husband. The answer to this mystery lies with that ex-husband. Mu Qiqi propped herself up on the edge of the bed, and could not help saying to the corpse, can you tell us more if you want to seek justice for yourself? The corpse had been processed, and no extra hair or skin was found apart from the victim's own. Nails? Mu Qiqi picked up one of the nails and looked at it for a long time. Professor, these nails with two sharp ends are called splicers, right? Why? Splicers are mostly used for splicing wood. It's not common to see such things in ordinary homes. I didn't expect that a rich young lady like you would know about splicers. The professor laughed. That's right. It's a splicer. Ordinary people rarely use it. Can we use this attribute to investigate if there's anyone among the victim's acquaintances who could be related to splicers? Or we could investigate the surroundings of the Gu family. We have to find the first crime scene as soon as possible. The police are intensifying the investigation, the professor replied. After hearing this, Mu Qiqi carefully observed the body of the baby. If the baby was killed by a fall, then the child should still be alive before his mother died. Would there be any other evidence on him? Professor, what's wrong? The professor hurriedly moved forward. The abrasion on the child's heel shouldn't have been caused by a fall, right? Based on the location of his injuries and the trajectory of his body when he was thrown into the well before he died, he should have been facing the ground and lying on his stomach. Then the injury on his heel was not caused in the well. There is lime in the wound. The professor quickly took the tweezers and immediately collected evidence. The child must have been placed in a dirty and messy place when he was alive. Qiqi, you might have been a great help in finding the first crime scene. Although she did not know the truth or what had happened between the victim and that scumbag, she had a feeling that the scumbag from the Gu family had something to do with it. At night, it rained heavily again. Sheng Kai and Gu Xiling were on the way to the Gu family. The current situation of the Gu family was really worrying. I went to Xing Xiao during the day, but he was indifferent. He thought that the Gu family should cooperate with the investigation. After hearing Sheng Kai's words, Gu Xiling sneered. It's not him. Of course he can say whatever he wants. For now we can only let the lawyers stop them. There's no other way. Sheng Kai comforted her. I know. You've tried your best. After all, Xing Xiao is not an obedient person. Gu Xiling expressed her understanding. Soon they arrived at the Gu family. At that moment, Mama Gu and Gu Xiling's uncle were sitting in the living room, anxious. Xiling, I'm really at a loss now. Your father needs someone to take charge of the situation. But your brother is only 17 now. He's at the age where he likes to play. He can't be of any help at all. There's me, Gu Xiling's uncle said. Is there anyone more suitable than me now? You'd better clear up the murder case first, Gu Xiling said coldly to her uncle. Mommy, why don't you do it? I don't have enough shares. The shareholders will not agree to let me join the board of directors. I don't have the mood to care about the company when your father is like this. You still have the cheek to say that, Xiling. I've been good to you before. This time I'm in trouble. You should help me no matter what. After all, you don't want this matter to be spread all over the city, do you? Mom, call everyone in the family here and nominate a suitable person. There are so many people in the family. There must be someone worthy of your trust, right? Mama Gu waved her hand. I'm very tired now. I can't think about this. The Gu family is in trouble now. I really don't know what to do. If you don't mind, I can send some people from Huangyao to help. It's better than being watched by others all the time. Mama Gu glanced at Shen Kai and shook her head. I appreciate your kindness. But you have a lot of things to do in Huangyao. You don't have to work so hard for the Gu family. I can still hold on for a while, but I can't take any more bad news. So, Uncle, what else happened between you and that woman? Is there any secret that we don't know? Gu Xiling asked her uncle. The man with a big round belly was unwilling to admit it at first. But he could not hide it anymore. So, he said, I met her in a restaurant some time ago. That B*TCH was living a good life. Of course I was angry, so I humiliated her. After all, that B*TCH made my life worse than death for the past 2 years. Nothing else. Later I found her place and went there once. I found that the B*TCH had a child. What else? The man touched his head and shook it. What else? I just used force on her. But it didn't work. Then I left her place. Is that really it? The man nodded. Otherwise, do you think I have the guts to kill someone? Chapter 521. Then you should go to the police station tomorrow to make a statement and tell the police about this. Otherwise they will keep pestering you. It will be a ticking time bomb for the Gu family. Gu Xiling said to her uncle. We are in troubled times now. You should know the priority of the matter, right? The man took a deep breath and nodded. All right, I will listen to my niece. But you have to come with me along with my lawyer and bodyguards. Okay. Gu Xiling replied without hesitation. After that, the two of them returned to Xing Mansion. At this time, Hu Ran and third brother were having dinner. You are back so soon. It seems that the Gu family is not as dangerous as the rumors say. Of course, you can't wait for the Gu family to go bankrupt tomorrow. But I am sorry. I am afraid that your hopes will be dashed. Gu Xiling sneered at Hu Ran. My uncle's problem can be solved tomorrow. That would be the best. The two brothers did not interrupt the quarrel between the sisters-in-law. However, when Xing Kai thought of meeting Xing Xiao during the day, he said to third brother, You and eighth brother have ulterior motives. You colluded with me and did not want me to get what I want, right? It's okay. I will definitely slap your face for the cooperation with Tiffany and Company. Xing Bowen frowned. He did not understand what third brother was talking about. Why did you drag eighth brother into this? Eighth brother told me about the cooperation with Tiffany and Company. If you did not tell him, how would he know? Xing Bowen sneered and answered the same question as Xing Xiao. In Jianchuan, there's nothing that eighth brother doesn't know. It was like that in the past, let alone now. His network is so complicated. It's really effortless for him to know such trivial things like you. I won't believe you. Whatever. Then, third brother turned to Hu Ran and asked, Are you done eating? Hu Ran nodded. It's a little noisy. Let's go back to our room. One of you is suppressed by your brother at home, and the other is suppressed by your stepmother at home. Don't even think about turning over a new leaf in this life. Hearing Gu Xiling's sarcasm, Xing Bowen turned around and replied, Likewise. Weren't they always suppressed by Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi? The winter rain was damp and cold. Xing Xiao asked Su Che to drive to the forensics lab at 9 at night. By then, the police had found a lot of new clues. On the afternoon of the victim's death, she met Huakang. The lime powder on the child's wound was not ordinary. We checked the construction sites and factories around the place where the body was dumped. Finally, we found a place with similar lime powder. That place happened to be the seaside amusement park that the Gu family was building. We suspect that it was the primary crime scene, but we did not dare to enter without a search warrant. At this time, the police were having a meeting, and the forensic doctor was also listening. So Huatsong is still a major suspect. Huatsong was Gu Ziling's uncle's real name. Captain, I just received a call from the Gu family. Huatsong agreed to come over to give a statement. Then today's meeting will end here. When we interrogate that man tomorrow, we will extract valuable clues. Mu Chichi rarely stayed in the forensics lab until this hour. When the professor informed her that she could leave, Mu Chichi had already fallen asleep on the chair. She attended classes in the day and came to the lab to investigate cases at night. This child really did not care about her own body. Even Feng Shanshan knew to rest, and she was still so enthusiastic. Xing Xiao waited for a while before getting out of the car and went to the police station. The people in the station knew that she was a family member, so they did not make things difficult and brought Xing Xiao directly to the forensics lab. In the lab, the professor was about to wake the child up. You came just in time. I don't know what to do with her. The professor said to Xing Xiao. Carry her back. It's so cold. She will catch a cold if she sleeps here. Xing Xiao pulled Mu Chichi into his arms and hugged her by the waist. Even with such a big movement, she did not wake up. Chief Xing, you must remind her to rest. If she works so hard now, won't she die of exhaustion when there are big cases in the future? Thank you, Professor. With that, Xing Xiao carried the little one back to the car and ordered Su Che, drive. Mu Chichi did not wake up at all. She just lay quietly in Xing Xiao's arms until they reached home. When Mama Xing saw the usually lively Mu Chichi being carried home, she quickly asked, What's wrong, Chichi? Too tired. Xing Xiao answered. Then hurry up and take her upstairs to rest. Mama Xing waved her hand. This child seems to really like solving cases. Xing Xiao carried her into the bathroom and put Mu Chichi in the bathtub. When the little one felt the water temperature, she slowly opened her eyes. Aren't I in the forensics lab? Xing Xiao had already taken off his clothes and stood in front of her. There was a mocking smile on his lips. So, what's the use of you being there? My discovery led them to the scene of the first murder case. Mu Chichi retorted. That good? Knowing that Xing Xiao's expression was displeased, Mu Chichi quickly dragged him into the bathtub and touched his chest. I won't fall asleep from exhaustion next time. I swear. Xing Kai came to me today and asked me to stop you from investigating this case. Mu Chichi was shocked. Is he even human? Of course, since he and Gu Ziling are husband and wife, they will become more and more alike. Why would he come to you? What face does he have to come to you? I still remember how he pretended to sympathize with you when he found out that you were down and out. Why are you so agitated? Xing Xiao asked, holding her waist. The thing I hate the most about the Sheng family is that in their eyes, they can rely on connections no matter what happens. It's fine if it's business before, but now it's a matter of life and death. It's fine if they don't cooperate, but they still want to disturb the police investigation? Mother asterisk her. And they still have the face to beg you. Hearing Mu Chichi's nagging, Xing Xiao suddenly pinched her chin and kissed her. This person had been too talkative recently. She would chatter endlessly. Mu Chichi was stunned. Although she was unhappy, she still responded to Xing Xiao's kiss. Xiao Xiao, the more cases I deal with, the more I feel that people are the scariest. Then do you want to see my scarier side? Xing Xiao asked, hooking his arm around Mu Chichi's neck. Mu Chichi was stunned. Then she shook her head. No. With that, she wanted to escape from the bathtub, but Xing Xiao pressed her against the edge of the bathtub. You only know how to bully me because I'm not as strong as you. Mu Chichi muttered. Chapter 522. How could I not want it? You know I can never refuse you. After saying that, Mu Chichi simply turned around and looked into his lustful eyes. She fell deeply into them. How can I love you so much? The kiss came like crazy and the water in the bathtub gradually cooled down. Afraid that Mu Chichi would catch a cold, Xing Xiao scooped her out of the bathtub and carried her to the bed in the bedroom. Mu Chichi was completely out of strength now. She could only mutter, Xiao Xiao. I'm going to sleep. I'm going to the forensics lab tomorrow because the Gu family is coming. Xing Xiao hugged her and held her fingers. Her dissecting hands seemed to be getting thinner and thinner. In fact, he just wanted to measure the size of her ring. The next day the weather was clear. Mu Chichi went to the forensics lab in her husband's car. The Gu family had not arrived yet. However, the police were very efficient. Early in the morning, the captain went to the amusement park that the Gu family was building with a search warrant. But the amusement park covered a large area, and it would take some time before they could get a result. At 9 o'clock in the morning, Gu Ziling accompanied her uncle to the police station. When she saw Mu Chichi, she sneered at Mu Chichi. If I remember correctly, you are a student. How can you say that you are not against the Gu family? It's not that I want to be here. Everyone knows that the Gu family likes to act like they are rich. That's why they let me stay here to welcome you. What? Don't you like it? Mu Chichi was holding the documents. She was wearing a white coat and looked professional. She looked like an official forensic doctor. My uncle is already in there. Are you satisfied now? The Gu family is very cunning. I don't think he will tell us anything sincerely. But you, do you want to see your aunt's corpse? Who wants to see such a disgusting thing? Gu Xiling looked disgusted. You are so ugly now. You will be worse than a burnt corpse when you die. With that, Mu Chichi turned and went back to the forensics lab. In the interrogation room, the police were questioning Hua Kong. How many times did you see her after she went missing? Just twice. The first time was in a restaurant where I met my wife who had been missing for 2 years. I was very angry, so I investigated her place. The second time I went to look for her. I wanted to ask her why she went missing, but I saw that she had given birth. We argued for a while and in the end I left. Huatsong was very smart. He knew to hide the key information and didn't mention that he almost raped his wife. The policeman glanced at him and continued to ask, was it just a dispute? Of course. She's already divorced and has a child. What else can I do? In any case, I'm a reputable person. What time did you enter and what time did you leave? When she got off work, I followed behind her. It was about 6:30 in the evening. When she came out, it was no later than 7:30, Huatsong replied. Then do you know when she died? How would I know? I didn't kill them. Huatsong snorted. Around 8:30 in the evening. There was a hint of panic on Huatsong's face. It has nothing to do with me. I really didn't kill her. Where did you go after you went back? Is there anyone who can prove it? Huatsong replied. I drove my own car. There should be surveillance cameras in the neighborhood. If you don't believe me, you can go and get them. Why didn't you tell the police about this when I came to you before? I didn't kill anyone. It's my freedom to say or not, isn't it? Moreover, I really hate the way the police handle cases. The Gu family is a big business and a famous family in Jianchuan City. I don't want to tarnish the Gu family's name because of this, Huatsong replied. So, you're doing this for the Gu family's reputation? Of course. If the Gu family has a scandal, it will do me no good. I don't want to lose my position and wealth. The interrogating policeman glanced at him with a strange expression. I'm afraid the police can't satisfy your wish. The impact of this matter is not something that you can just explain. What do you mean? You're going back on your word? Didn't you say that you wouldn't publicize it if I came over to explain? The officer knocked on the table and looked at Hua Kong. Whether you are innocent or not, the police will naturally investigate. Huatsong, you are still a major suspect, because the police found the primary crime scene in the Gu family's construction site, which is also the murder scene. Huatsong's eyes widened when he heard this. What? Go back. The police will send a commissioner to follow you. Cooperate with the police at any time. That's your only way out. You also want to clear your name, right? Huatsong moved his lips, but in the end he didn't say anything. He only cursed the bitch in his heart. Why did she bring him so much trouble even after her death? Then Huatsong left the interrogation room. Gu Xiling walked up to him. Did you make it clear? Xiling, the Gu family is in big trouble. Gu Xiling was stunned. She didn't understand. What does this have to do with the Gu family? The police found the primary crime scene of the murder at the seaside amusement park. After hearing this, Gu Xiling couldn't help but take a few steps back. What did the Gu family do wrong? Why did they get into trouble because of you? Xiling, I'm innocent too. Hearing their conversation, Mu Chichi walked up to Gu Xiling and said, it was originally very simple. It's the Gu family who deliberately covered it up and made it more complicated. If you cooperated with the police earlier, you might have solved the case by now. But the Gu family chose to suppress you. Even if you had your own concerns and didn't want to cooperate at first, now that things have come to this, if I were you, I would have publicly expressed my support and cooperation with the police. Otherwise, things will get worse than your father going crazy. Mu Chichi, if the Gu family publicizes this matter, it will be like adding snow to snow. The family doesn't belong to you. Of course you won't feel bad about it. Don't make sarcastic remarks here. You just want my family to go bankrupt. Am I right? Gu Xiling replied to Mu Chichi coldly. It's up to you. The police will solve the case anyway. It's just a matter of time. I'm your sister-in-law. Do you like to kill me so much? In your heart, you don't want to be my sister-in-law, do you? Mu Chichi retorted. It's because of what happened at the charity banquet. That's why you hate me. You hate me for having designs on Xingxiao. That's why you keep pestering me. You think too much. No matter how low Xiao Zhao's taste is, it won't be your turn. Then Mu Qiqi left the police station. She had to go back to school after the interrogation of Huakang. Chapter 523. I'll wait for you, Mu Qiqi said calmly to Gu Xiling. No matter what, would she, Mu Qiqi, lose to a vase? It was not logical. After that, the murder at the Gu family's amusement park attracted a lot of attention from the outside world. The news of the chairman of Gu's losing his mind had already made Gu's company on the verge of collapse. Now, the murder had made Gu's situation even worse. Huatsong was under surveillance by the police. Gu Xiling was furious. Mu Qiqi wanted to go back to school, but the professor called her halfway. Don't you want to come to the crime scene? Aren't you and the captain at the crime scene? What we see might not be the same as what you see. Come back. I'll wait for you at the crime scene. The professor hung up. It was a great temptation to Mu Qiqi. So she asked the driver to turn around and go to the crime scene. It was in the basement of Gu's amusement park. There were a lot of building materials there, including the nails found in the victim's stomach. When Mu Qiqi arrived at the crime scene, she saw the serial number on the ground. She did not touch it but squatted down to check it. There is a lot of blood on the ground. But the strange thing is that we did not find any traces of being tied or struggling on the victim's body. Why did she come here with the murderer? Professor, have you found the victim's eyes and fingernails? Mu Qiqi asked. The professor shook his head. No. It's possible that these things are with the murderer. What do you think? There are no traces of being tied or drugged. So, it can only mean that the victim came here voluntarily. Mu Qiqi looked at the puddles of blood on the ground and said, a single woman without complicated social connections, so how could she come to such a place? Professor, it might be a child. The murderer took away the deceased child and informed her to come here to look for the child. The fact that the deceased's phone can't be found proves this even more. There must be secrets on the phone that we want to know. The murderer is so vicious, but he did not leave any clues at the crime scene. This shows that he is very good at anti-reconnaissance and is very meticulous. How did he move the body from the crime scene to the dumping site? The professor glanced at her and said, at that time, we had already checked the area around the dry well. No vehicle could have gone there. We also checked the footsteps and there was nothing suspicious. However, there are many ways to get out of the construction site. Trucks, tricycles, bicycles, electric scooters. Professor, let's go somewhere. With that, Mu Qiqi got up and the professor followed behind her. The two of them searched for the road from the construction site to the dry well. Soon, they arrived at a fork 1 kilometer away from the construction site. Mu Qiqi squatted at the fork and observed carefully. Then, at the end of the fork, she saw a tire mark. It's definitely not a bicycle or a 3-wheeled electric scooter that can transport a corpse because the corpse was not dismembered. Professor, look here. The professor squatted down and saw the width of the tire. I'll ask the forensics team to come over and take photos for evidence. Then we'll check the surveillance footage. After Mu Qiqi got up, she looked around and found that there were traces of something heavy in the haystack. There should be a huge box here and the soil in front of the box has been refurbished. This means that the murderer had placed the corpse here before. Moreover, there's a stench coming from here. So, I'm guessing that the murderer must have placed the corpse in a box that looks like a trash can first. Then he left the box here. Passers-by would think that it was abandoned trash and wouldn't be curious. And with the stench, passers-by would not approach it. Then he carried the child to the dry well and threw him down. Because a baby would cry if placed in a car. But why did the murderer not kill the child first but chose to fall to his death? And how did the murderer move the corpse? I still have no idea for now. Seeing that she was able to discover these things, the professor smiled and said, You've seen many things that I can't see. I'm really getting old. Everything slows down. Professor, you just didn't rest well and lacked energy. Otherwise, how could these things escape your eyes? It seems that the murderer really has nothing to do with that rich man. The professor sighed. Such a meticulous arrangement. It's not a murder out of passion. I think we should also investigate the social relations of the deceased, Mu Qiqi suggested. Mu Qiqi suggested. There are always things that are right in front of us but we haven't discovered them yet. You're right. Now that this matter has blown up, the Gu family will definitely find trouble with you. You should be careful. Of course. If they didn't find me, I would have forgotten that I'm also a rich man. Mu Qiqi smiled. Professor, let's continue to observe. Perhaps there will be new discoveries. Okay. That afternoon, the news began to broadcast intensively. After the chairman of the well-known Gu Group fell seriously ill, the company encountered a glacier and was involved in a murder case. And the seaside amusement park under the Gu Group is the primary crime scene of the murder case. The police are working hard to solve the case. And according to the investigation, the identity of the deceased is closely related to the Gu Group. Seeing this news, Gu Xiling turned off the television in the living room. But Hu Ran turned it on again. Even if you don't want to watch it, I still want to. Did you do it on purpose? The Gu Group's seaside amusement park cost 10 billion yuan. Now it has become the scene of a murder case. Can the Gu Group continue to operate this time? The stock price has fallen so much that I can't bear to watch it anymore. Hu Ran said to Gu Xiling while watching the news. Your uncle should be more suspicious now. Gu Xiling clenched her fists. She could not calm down. She had to face Mu Qiqi in the day and Hu Ran at night. No one would have such energy. I don't want to quarrel with you. The Gu Group must have a terrible loss after this incident. What do you know? Hu Ran shrugged and stopped provoking Gu Xiling. What if she lost her mind like her father? However, everyone knew that the Gu Group would not be able to get through this crisis. Just as Mu Qiqi said, Papa Gu's madness was an internal problem that could be solved. But now it had become the scene of a murder case. Who would be willing to play in this amusement park? After a while, Grandpa Gu came home. When he saw Gu Xiling, he sighed and said to her, "Don't interfere in your family's affairs for now. Don't go home." "Grandpa, this is my last kindness to you." It was also because she knew that Sheng Kai was infertile that Grandpa Gu was willing to give in. Gu Xiling did not refute. Obviously, she realized the seriousness of Grandpa Gu's words. Chapter 524. The case had caused a great sensation in Jianchuan. The scene of Mu Qiqi and the professor working in the field was also shown on the news. Everyone in the Sheng family saw it, including Sheng Kai and Sheng Bowen who had just returned home. They had only heard that Mu Qiqi was studying forensic science. But they had never seen her holding a scalpel. So, they could not associate Xing Zhao's beloved with this girl who ran in the wind and rain. However, when they saw her at the crime scene, they understood that she was not playing around. She was very serious. I don't know why, but Xiao Qi looks so valiant. Hu Ran leaned on third brother's arm and whispered to him, "She really looks like a forensic doctor. I believe she will have a bright future. She will be better than all of us." Seeking justice for the dead. Thinking of this, third brother smiled. Only she and Xing Xiao can live like humans. Bitch. If it wasn't for her, the case would not have been exposed so quickly. On the other side, Gu Xiling was cursing. If I have the chance, I will make her pay. Second sister-in-law, it's not that I look down on you. But in terms of ability, you have no other talents other than putting on a show at home. In terms of wealth, let alone the fact that the Gu Corporation has collapsed, even before the incident, you are no match for Zhongting. In terms of power, she has the mayor and the chief in her family. Moreover, she is used to seeing all kinds of corpses and fighting with all kinds of criminals. Do you think you can fight in front of her? Hu Ran asked Gu Xiling with a smile. Just wait and see. Having said that, Gu Xiling went back to her room. Grandpa Xing said to Hu Ran, "Xiao Ran, I know you have been wronged in the past. But she is still your second sister-in-law. You should know when to stop." "Grandpa, it is obvious that second sister-in-law did not know what was good for her. She insisted on fighting with Mu Qiqi. That is why things have gotten out of hand. Not to mention your second sister-in-law, even I have never thought that this little girl could really endure the disgusting corpses and become a forensic doctor. What else? He had always thought that Mu Qiqi was just playing around. Was she fighting with him? She was too self-righteous." On the other hand, Lu Qianqian and the others saw Xiao Qi's figure on TV too. That night they told Mama Lu, "Mommy, Xiao Qi is on TV. I should work hard too. Qiqi is really something. I used to think that since she was a couple with the crown prince of the Sheng family, the crown prince would never let her do such a job. But I didn't expect that not only did she do it, she did it very well." Wrong. Sheng Xiao is no longer the crown prince of Huangyao. Lu Qianqian corrected her. "You are doing well too. You have been handling the company's matters well. A few big cases had been approved by the shareholders. You have also exceeded my expectations. If only your father could see it with his own eyes." Seeing that her mother's eyes were red, Lu Qianqian quickly comforted her. "Alright, don't cry. Why are you bringing it up again? I just want the Lin family to see your outstanding side. My daughter is definitely worthy of old Lin's grandson." Lu Chanshan smiled and comforted Mama Lu. Just eat. It will happen sooner or later. Don't worry. The younger uncles of the Lu family had ulterior motives. But with Lu Chanshan under heavy protection they could not do anything. Previously, when there were no bodyguards around, they could still release a snake or do some other tricks. But now, Lu Chanshan was protected by a female bodyguard and a male bodyguard. Now, it would be harder for them to find a chance to do anything. Moreover, Lu Chanshan was a smart girl when it came to business. She had restarted the case that Papa Lu had put aside, so that Lu Holdings would not suffer any losses. That was why the board of directors approved of Lu Chanshan. After all, her training as a successor wasn't for nothing. The people of Lu Holdings had thought that she could not even understand the reports. But in the end, they realized that she could not only understand the reports, but also find the loopholes in them. They believed that soon Lu Holdings would be back on track. All the suffering seemed to be over. But the matter of the Lin family was still a knot in her heart. She wanted to do something. She wanted to. But dripping water could wear a stone. In the evening, Mu Chichi dragged her tired body home. She had run too many places today. Her body was at its limit. When Mama Sheng saw her, she quickly went to help her. Mommy, you don't have to. I smell? Even eighth brother can stand it. Why can't I? You are underestimating Mommy. Mama Sheng smiled and said, go upstairs to take a shower and change your clothes. Fifth aunt made your favorite dish. You must be hungry. Okay. Xing Xiao had not returned home yet. He had a dinner with Secretary He. Mu Chichi went upstairs to take a bath. But unknowingly she fell asleep in the bathtub. If Xing Xiao did not find her when he got home, she would have drowned in it. In the afternoon, when they were having dinner, Secretary He laughed at Xing Xiao. This little sister-in-law is really interesting. I did not expect her to become a forensic doctor. It is not easy for a rich family to endure such hardships. So, I will not make things difficult for you today. Go home early. Little sister-in-law must be tired after a long day. She must be very tired when she sees you. Thank you, Secretary He. Xing Xiao could not help but laugh. Let's go. I will handle the rest. They are all sensible people. They will not make things difficult for you. Then I will thank Secretary He first. Having said that, Xing Xiao left the dinner. When he got home, he saw Mu Chichi soaking in the water. When he looked at her feet, he saw that they were actually blistered. These were not a pair of feet of a young lady. She did not take care of herself at all. Xing Xiao thought about it. But he still carried the little one out of the bathtub. Then he put her on the bed so that she could sleep more comfortably. When he changed his clothes and went downstairs, Mama Xing did not see him. She asked, where is Chi-Chi? She is asleep. When she is hungry I will find Aunt Wu. Then let her sleep. Mama Xing smiled. Her appearance on TV today caused a sensation. Her grandfather, father, and the Shin family are all proud of her. Although Grandpa Shin didn't say it, I can still see from his expression that he still recognizes Xiao Qi's seriousness and dedication. You have all seen it. Only I have not, Xing Xiao said. Chapter 525. After eating and returning to his room, Xing Xiao really went to search the news. He wanted to know how much perseverance this little one had used to do this. Now he saw it. Her petite body shuttled through the murder scene and kept going in and out of the yellow cordon. No wonder her feet were blistered. That was the Special Investigations team. None of the cases they received were easy. Sometimes even men could not stand it, let alone a little girl. After a while, Mu Chichi woke up from her hunger. When she saw Xing Xiao sitting beside her, she naturally reached out and hugged her man. Xing Xiao looked down at her little head. Knowing that she had slept enough, he asked, hungry? Yes. Mu Chichi nodded. Get up and eat. I just asked Fifth Aunt to bring it in. Xing Xiao pointed at the table beside him with his chin. Mu Chichi sat up and smelled the fragrance. She quickly got off the bed and sat in front of the table. How did you know that I would wake up soon? I don't know when you will wake up, but I know that you will definitely wake up when you smell the fragrance. Xing Xiao smiled and unbuttoned his shirt. Then he took out the medicine box from the cabinet and sat beside Mu Chichi. Mu Chichi was stunned. She did not understand what he was going to do. Then she saw him take out a band-aid and put Mu Chichi's leg on his body. I know that in the future, running to murder scenes, going out into the field, and even distorting the truth will become your norm. But I hope that when you're injured or in danger, you'll think of me and worry about whether or not I'll feel sorry for you. Mu Chichi listened to Xing Xiao seriously. She was a little confused. Logically speaking, this man would stop her. But today he did not. Are you wondering why I didn't stop you from going to the crime scene? Yes. Mu Chichi nodded. I saw your figure on the news today. I feel that my little one wants to become that kind of person. Since that's the case, why should I stop you? Sheng Xiao bandaged her wound and looked up to ask her in return. That's right. Why should I stop you? Mu Chichi put down her bowl and chopsticks and threw herself into Sheng Xiao's arms. I knew it. You are the person who understands me the best in the world. But I have a request. Tell me. Mu Chichi's eyes shone like stars. You're not allowed to miss out on any classes related to grappling, fighting, or self-defense. Other than that, I've also hired professional coaches to strengthen your body. I don't need to arrest the murderer. I want you to learn how to escape. Sheng Xiao pinched her nose. In order to supervise you, I'll spare some time to practice with you. Mu Chichi wrapped her arms around his neck and nodded excitedly. Okay, I'll listen to you. Let's continue eating. Although the little one seemed to listen to him and obey him in everything, Sheng Xiao could clearly feel how insistent the little one was on certain things, and it was usually him who would compromise when it came to that. After dinner, Mu Chichi went downstairs again. She wanted to meet Mama Sheng on purpose so that she wouldn't worry her. However, Mama Sheng had gone to the Shens, and Papa Sheng was sitting in the living room watching television. Dad, aren't you going to rest? I'll go later. Chichi is the murderer from the Gu family? Mu Chichi was surprised that Papa Sheng would care about the result. She smiled and said, I'm not sure yet. Then be careful when you go out. Okay. Mu Chichi was very touched. Although Papa Sheng rarely expressed his concern for her at home, she knew that her father-in-law was really worried about her safety. The next morning, Mu Chichi went to school. However, she received a call from the professor halfway. We found the tire marks you found yesterday. It's a blue mini truck. The police have checked the car's owner through the surveillance cameras, but the license plate is fake. So, the people in the team searched for the car through the surveillance cameras. Good Lord, after one night, they finally found the location where the car was parked. It was actually near the victim's house. So, have you found the owner of the car? Mu Chichi asked with concern. The team has been checking the road with the surveillance cameras. They saw the driver of the car, but they can't confirm his identity yet. But Chichi, you've done a great job this time. Then, Professor, please tell me when you found the murderer. I will. Although the professor did not say it, he was much more relaxed than 2 days ago. By the way, the victim's tissue and phone were found in the trash can nearby. It's a low-end residential area with a poor environment. It's lucky that the trash hasn't been cleaned for a few days. But unfortunately, the phone is completely broken. It seemed that the murderer was very close. So, it has nothing to do with the person from the Gu family? Sheng Xiao asked Mu Chichi when he saw her hang up the phone. Not really. Mu Chichi answered seriously. The Gu family seaside amusement park is not allowed to enter unless it's their own construction workers. So, why did the murderer commit the crime there? Even if the murderer is not Huatsong, he must be related to him. That's what I think. Sheng Xiao smiled when he heard that. He looked handsome. Forensic Dr. Mu, you're very confident. Not at all. It's all thanks to my dear fiancé's guidance. Then do you remember what day it will be 2 days later? Of course I remember. Mu Chichi snorted. You're underestimating me. No matter how important the investigation is, I'll always put your matter first. It'll never change. Sheng Xiao hugged her and was finally satisfied. It was just that Mu Chichi's appearance on the news yesterday made her a reputable person in the forensic science department. Feng Shanshan could not help but snort when she saw her. Didn't I ask you to deal with Huatsong yesterday? You even went to the scene. The professor said he needed help, so I went. At least you're useful. I know the progress. Feng Shanshan did not continue to be jealous. We'll probably get the result tonight. Do you have any suspects in mind? The direct murderer is definitely not Huakang. The professor said that the murderer parked the car near the victim's house. I think we can think of it as an acquaintance. I think we can interrogate the victim's best friend. The victim has no relatives in the world. She only has a best friend. The police believe whatever she says. Anyway, she's sure that the victim won't say anything. Unfortunately. Chapter 526. At the same time, the Gu family was trying their best to salvage the situation. For example, they admitted their mistake publicly and promised to cooperate with the police in the investigation. But no matter what, the amusement park project could no longer continue. So, they put up a notice to stop the construction of all the facilities. Not only that, they also hoped that the workers would not leave for the time being so that they could cooperate with the investigation. Everyone knew how much money the Gu family had invested in this project. Now that the project could no longer proceed because of the murder case, it affected the interests of the shareholders and investors. So, Mama Gu could no longer hold the fort in Gu Corporation. Seeing this situation, Gu Ziling's confidence was getting weaker and weaker. Recently, she just stayed in her room and did not even bother to see the Sheng family. During dinner, Grandpa Sheng looked at the empty seat and asked Sheng Kai, "Is Xiling not feeling well? Why is she not coming out for dinner?" "She is worried and sad because of what happened in her family. So, she can't come out for dinner with Grandpa," explained Sheng Kai. "Sai, the amusement park project might directly drag down the Gu family. I don't want her to go back because I want her to be less affected. She must understand Grandpa's painstaking efforts. I don't know if second sister-in-law understands Grandpa's painstaking efforts. But I think you don't understand my painstaking efforts." Sheng Bowen took the opportunity to say to Sheng Kai, "At this critical moment, you still want to increase the investment in Tiffany and Company. I really don't understand. Are you gambling with Huang Yao? We had a meeting in the company for a few hours and there was no result. Are you still going to quarrel with me when you go home? Third brother, you should know that I am the decision maker." Sheng Bowen shrugged. "Second brother, I don't care what your company does. But you must not fill the bottomless pit of the Gu family. Do you hear me?" "Yes," Sheng Kai quickly said. Then Grandpa Sheng got up and went back to his room. Now only Sheng Kai, Sheng Bowen and the others were left. "Third brother, no matter what happens to the Gu family, at least you are not strong enough to shake my position as the crown prince. So, don't stir up trouble in front of Grandpa." Sheng Bowen wanted to say something, but Hu Ran stopped him. "You'll know when second brother suffers. The two of you only think about letting Huang Yao suffer losses all day long. Traitors." Having said that, Sheng Kai got up from his chair and left the dining room. Sheng Bowen looked at Hu Ran and then at sixth brother, who was eating quietly. How he wished he could be as free as sixth brother. "Third brother, it wasn't easy for me to come back for a meal. Don't look at me like that." Clearly, sixth brother did not want to get involved in their fight. "You agree with second brother?" "I think second brother has his reasons." With that, sixth brother lowered his head and focused on his meal. Hu Ran nudged his arm, signaling him not to be so serious. "You've reminded him several times but he doesn't take it seriously. He's the same as Gu Xiling so there's nothing you can do. Gu Xiling is about to lose her support. Let's see second brother's reaction first. I don't know if Grandpa will keep a woman who has lost power or drive her away." At this moment, the criminal police unit was bustling with activity. After finding out the owner of the car, the police followed the clues and found the major suspect of the murder case. It was really the victim's best friend and her husband. When they realized that it was a double crime, the police brought the woman back to the station and began to interrogate her. They used many traps and finally found some clues from her mouth. It was not until the man was arrested that the woman realized that perhaps the matter could not be hidden anymore. This woman's psychological quality is not ordinary. If the male murderer was not arrested, she would still lead the police in circles. How cunning. "So, is everything clear?" Mu Chichi asked the people in the team. "Yes, everything is clear. The victim is really pitiful." It turned out that the victim's best friend had always wanted a child, but she could not get pregnant because she had aborted too many times. In order to satisfy her husband's desire to have a child, she turned her criminal eyes on her best friend. Because she was familiar with everything about the victim, she also knew that she had escaped from a rich family and was alone. Their plan succeeded, and the victim successfully became pregnant. However, after the child was born, the victim found that the child had the same birthmark behind his ear as her best friend's husband. So she became suspicious and questioned her best friend. This vicious woman was afraid that the victim would call the police, so she schemed with her husband to kill the victim. So she took the child away and led the victim to the basement. Moreover, she kept using the child as a hostage to make the victim willingly suffer and not resist. The poor victim thought that the vicious couple would let the child go, so she was tortured to death. But in the end, the child was not saved. At that time, how could the murderer stay to attract suspicion? Then, the couple used the excuse of transporting construction waste to transport the body in a truck. Finally, they threw the body into the well and carefully cleaned up the scene so that the police would not find any clues. Pulled out fingernails and gouged out eyes. The fingernails might have left evidence of the suspect. As for the eyes, it was because the vicious woman still felt sorry for her best friend. She was afraid to look into the victim's eyes, so, the police officer explained. The murderer has finally been caught. Chichi, you have done a great job. But this matter is not completely over, right? Mu Chichi asked. The police officer looked at Mu Chichi in disbelief and smiled. If not for your age, I would have thought that you have been in the police station for many years. You are so experienced. Because it is not easy to enter the Gu family's construction site. There are so many workers and it is impossible not to be discovered. The police officer pointed at Mu Chichi and praised her. Smart. That scumbag Huatsong is not as innocent as he looks. According to the murderer, Huatsong and his wife found out the first time he met the victim in the restaurant. Later, the murderer met Huatsong and told him that the victim planned to extort money from Huatsong as his ex-wife. He reminded Huatsong to be careful of his ex-wife, and spread rumors in front of Huatsong that the victim was promiscuous, had many men and had a rotten private life. How could Huatsong tolerate that with his temper? He immediately told the murderer that he would pay the murderer to find someone to rape the victim. The murderer wanted to drag Huatsong down with him. He said that he could help, but Huatsong must provide a safe place. Huatsong thought that the murderer only wanted to teach the victim a lesson, so he arranged for the basement of the amusement park. Chapter 527. On the day of the plan, he wanted to vent his anger before the victim was raped by other men, who knew that he would be beaten away by his ex-wife. And the victim's child was taken away by the murderer at that time. Mu Chichi had goosebumps all over her body when she heard the whole story. Her scalp went numb. Has Huatsong been arrested now? The captain has already gone, the police officer replied. He's a scumbag with a pig's brain who was used by others. When he is arrested, we'll interrogate him carefully. We'll find out how he contacted the murderer. Mu Chichi looked at the body on the bed. She felt that she could comfort the poor woman's soul in heaven. 2 main culprits and 1 accomplice. None of them could escape. Feng Shanshan also listened to the entire case and sighed, which was rare of her. It's really not an ordinary kind of madness. No matter what, you've been a great help. You've been involved in this case from the beginning to the end. How do you feel now? I just feel disgusted. Although I can comfort the victim, I want to vomit when I think of the cunning faces of the 3 people, Mu Chichi replied. You'll get used to it. The professor persuaded her. This is a very valuable experience for you. Look at you. You're famous now. I'm famous myself, okay? Mu Chichi glared at them. What was the situation with the Gu family now? The shareholders were in the Gu family, the directors were in the Gu family, and the creditors were in the Gu family. At this time, the police came and took out an arrest warrant. They asked Mrs. Gu, is Huatsong at home? You police officers come to our house again and again instead of arresting the murderer. Don't you know that we don't see guests now? Mrs. Gu said fiercely to the police. Mrs. Gu, please look carefully. This is not a search warrant. This is an arrest warrant. Your brother is suspected of murder. The evidence is conclusive. Mrs. Gu took a few steps back when she heard this. Oh, how is it possible? My brother told me that he has nothing to do with this murder. Do you believe his words? The criminal's face will not have the words "I killed someone" written on it. Then the captain ordered his subordinates. Search the house. We must catch the suspect. Although Huatsong felt guilty, he still firmly believed that he was not a murderer, so he would be fine. The Gu family would not leave him alone. However, when he saw the police come to arrest him, he was very confused. Why did you arrest me? How many times have I told you? I didn't kill anyone. You are not the mastermind, but you are an accomplice. The police handcuffed him. Sis, save me. I didn't kill anyone. Sis, believe me. However, Mama Gu didn't look at her brother anymore. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to control her emotions. Almost the entire Gu family was ruined in his hands. What else did he want? Subsequently, the news also followed up on this matter. Everyone saw Huatsong being taken away from the Gu family. Second sister-in-law said that uncle's problem would be solved, but what happened in the end? Now that she has been arrested, this slap in the face has come too quickly, Hu Ran said to Xing Bowen as she watched the news. Chichi has done a great job. Gu Xiling didn't know that her uncle was so cunning. Now that she was hiding in her room, she didn't dare to appear in the hall of the Xing family. She didn't want to see Hu Ran and Xing Bowen laughing at her. Soon Mama Gu called Gu Xiling. Xiling, Mommy can't hold on any longer. Mom, is the situation that bad? If you abandon the Gu family now, you can still protect your grandfather's business. I don't want everything to be ruined and you won't be able to hold your head up high in the Xing family. All the shareholders have withdrawn their funds. The bank will soon come to collect the debt for the seaside amusement park project. The Gu family's shortage of funds will become more and more serious. This vicious cycle will not end well. Your father is crazy. Your uncle is arrested. Your brother is still a coward. We can't turn the situation around. I will beg Grandpa. I will beg the Sheng family to save us. Having said that, Gu Xiling hung up. She couldn't accept the bankruptcy of the Gu family. So, she rushed out of the room and knelt in front of Grandpa Sheng. Grandpa, please save the Gu family. Now, I can only hope that the Sheng family can give me a glimmer of hope. Grandpa Sheng saw Gu Xiling kneeling on the ground. He didn't say anything for a long time. Of course, Hu Ran and Xing Bowen were surprised. They didn't expect Gu Xiling to break down so suddenly. Xiling, it's not that I don't want to save you. But who would be willing to take over the Gu family's mess now? The Seaside Amusement Park project has tens of billions of investment. It's not easy to fill the gap. Moreover, the project has been abandoned because of the murder case. Who would be willing to spend tens of billions just to fill the gap of the Gu family? You have to get over it. Gu Xiling fell to the ground. Tears streamed down her face. It's all because of Mu Chichi. Mu Chichi wants to take revenge on me. That's why things have come to this. After hearing Gu Xiling's words, Hu Ran rolled her eyes. Your uncle is suspected of murder. Is this also Mu Chichi's arrangement? Your uncle chose to hand over the basement of the Seaside Amusement Park to the murderer. It's not Mu Chichi's doing. Gu Xiling, why don't you look for the reason from yourself? Why are you blaming others? And you are all on Mu Chichi's side. Xiao Ran, don't provoke her anymore. Xing Bowen put his arm around Hu Ran's shoulder. At that moment, Sheng Kai came in from the outside. His eyes turned red when he saw Gu Xiling kneeling on the ground. Are you bullying your second sister-in-law again? All right. Don't mention this again. Xiling, you are the daughter-in-law of the Sheng family now. Do your part. That's more important than anything else. Grandpa Sheng sighed and told Gu Xiling. He could only blame himself for being blind. He insisted on building a relationship with the Gu family and almost let Xing Xiao and Gu Xiling get together. Who knew that the Gu family would be so vulnerable in just half a year? Sheng Kai glared at Hu Ran and Xing Bowen. Then he carried Gu Xiling back to the room. Hu Ran rolled her eyes again. That couple was really unreasonable. After this incident, second sister-in-law will probably list Mu Chichi as her #1 enemy. Chapter 528. Grandpa probably doesn't want to add insult to injury at this time. You will have a plan. After spending some time with Grandpa Sheng, Hu Ran knew what kind of person Grandpa Sheng was. He was absolutely obedient to his own interests. If he did not take action from the beginning, it meant that he still had some concerns. Oh, by the way, my friend in the entertainment industry is helping you find out something. Third brother suddenly said to Hu Ran. When are you free? Let's meet up. Can you find out more about that woman? This person is already the most famous paparazzi in the circle. If he doesn't know something no one else can, explained Xing Bowen. Let's try. Okay. Hu Ran nodded. Thank you, third brother. You are really willing to take my matter to heart. Even if we are not a real couple, we are still allies on the same boat. Isn't it reasonable for us to do this? After hearing this, Hu Ran smiled. In fact, she did not understand what kind of feelings she had for Xing Bowen. In the past there was sympathy. Later there was gratitude. Of course there was also some admiration. But it did not seem like she liked him. Was it because the time was too short and she had too little experience? But even so, Xing Bowen was the only husband in her heart. She did not plan to change her husband in this life. In another room of the Sheng family, Gu Xiling sat on the bed and cried for a whole hour. Sheng Kai could not say anything to comfort her. He did not dare to approach her because she would lose her temper. I knew that Grandpa was ruthless, but I did not expect him to be this ruthless. The Gu family's business is too big. You have to face the reality, said Sheng Kai. How do you expect me to face the reality? If the Sheng family is not bankrupt, of course you will not feel anything. Without the Gu family, you will still be the daughter-in-law of the Sheng family. You will still be my wife. Moreover, your grandfather's business will be preserved. When I take over as the chairman of Huang Yao, I will be able to make my own decisions. What can I give you? Why are you so impatient now? You know very well that third brother and his wife are waiting to pick on us. They're waiting to see us make a fool of ourselves. If you cry and make a fuss like this, not only will it do you no good, it will also do me no good. Gu Xiling finally stopped crying. Do you really think so? A few days ago, although we did have a disagreement, you are my legally wedded wife. No matter what, I will stand by your side. Otherwise, wouldn't I be laughed at by others? As the dignified CEO of Huang Yao, I can't even manage my own backyard well? When Gu Xiling was done crying, she threw herself into his arms. I will help you. I will help you become the chairman of Huang Yao at all costs. At the same time, I hope you can understand how deep my hatred for Mu Qiqi is. All right? Since he couldn't blame himself, he could only blame others. After Huatsong was arrested, he still clamored in the interrogation room, saying that the Gu family would find him the best lawyer and let him walk out of the police station unscathed. However, the interrogating policeman told him realistically, because of you, Gu's is going to go bankrupt soon. You have no other way out but to admit your guilt. I didn't kill anyone. You didn't kill anyone directly, but you provided assistance to the murderer. So you are an accomplice. How can you bear to do that to a woman you have slept with for so many years? That bitch. She made me a joke. I just wanted to teach her a lesson. The policeman couldn't bear it anymore. He slammed the table. Do you know how long the sentence is for an accomplice who threatens and causes death? At least 8 years. And in this case there is 1 corpse, 2 lives and a baby. If you still refuse to confess, you will be skinned after 15 years. Think about it carefully. I don't want to waste more time with you now. Huatsong's face changed when he heard 15 years. Do I really have to stay in jail for that long? Do you want me to find the criminal evidence and prove it for you? Huatsong's hands were trembling. He thought for a few seconds and finally said, I'll tell you. Although the police already knew what Huatsong had said, they still felt disgusted because it came from another scumbag's mouth. Because he and the victim were once husband and wife. The forensics lab let Mu Qiqi rest at home for 2 days to help solve the case. Moreover, it was the weekend soon, so Mu Qiqi and Lu Qianqian agreed to have dinner together. The little bride that people talked about enthusiastically in the past had now become a capable and experienced female forensic doctor. Lu Qianqian gave Mu Qiqi a thumbs up when she saw her. Think about it. You were a coward when you transferred to Eton 2 or 3 years ago. People thought you were easy to bully. But now, you are someone who can dissect corpses anytime. You too? You've changed. Big Xiao, I can't offend you now or I won't get a free meal. Lu Qianqian pointed at Mu Qiqi and smiled. They were chatting happily when a figure passing by the door caught Lu Qianqian's attention. What are you looking at? The woman who just passed by seems to be Lin Mu An's aunt. You've seen the Lin family? I've seen them in photos. Sometimes I want to live in peace with them. Lu Qianqian stood up. Qiqi, I'll go take a look. I feel something is wrong. Let's go together. After saying that, the 2 of them chased after him. Meanwhile, Lin Mu An's aunt was being held by 2 men. It seemed that she could not even walk properly. What are you doing? Lu Qianqian chased after them and stopped them. At that moment, Lu Qianqian could clearly see Aunt Lin's face. It was a clear sign that she was drunk. When the 2 men saw that Lu Qianqian was looking for trouble, they wanted to stop her from being a busybody. But Mu Qiqi's appearance made them wary. Isn't this the female forensic doctor? Forget it. Let's go. After that, the 2 men left Lin Mu An's aunt and ran away. Lu Qianqian and Mu Qiqi helped Lin Mu An into the hotel room until Lin Mu An arrived. It's really my aunt. Since you're here, Qiqi and I will continue eating. The Lin family probably doesn't want to see me. Lin Mu An probably wanted to comfort Lu Qianqian. He grabbed her hand and said, You and Xiaoqi go first. I'll come for you later. Okay. Lu Qianqian nodded and left the room with Mu Qiqi. At that moment Lin Mu An shook his aunt awake. Where is this? Mu An? The woman on the bed rubbed her head in confusion. She tried to see Lin Mu An clearly. Lin Mu An was a little helpless. You were drunk by 2 men just now. Do you remember? Those 2 men wanted to bring you to a room. Qianqian saw them and saved you. Aunt Lin shook her head as if she was trying to wake herself up. Where is Lu Qianqian? Chapter 529. Thank her for me. Also, don't tell your grandfather. Aunt Lin threatened Lin Mu An. Lin Mu An chuckled. I'm not in the Lin family now. I don't have the chance to see that old man. You don't have to worry. Aunt Lin wanted to say something more. But when she saw Lin Mu An had disappeared from the door, she did not ask him to stay. She thought that Lu Qianqian would use this incident to get her support. Unexpectedly, Lu Qianqian did not think that much. Of course, it was possible that this was another trick of Lu Qianqian's. In the private room, Mu Qiqi and Lu Qianqian continued to eat. When Lin Mu An saw his fiancée, he sat down beside her like a loyal dog. Where's your aunt? Let her go home by herself. Otherwise she will think too much and think that you have some scheme. After Lin Mu and answered, he patted Lu Qianqian's head. How do you know my aunt? I've seen your family's photo. Lu Qianqian rolled her eyes. This is the difference between men and women. Women know how to love me and my dog. Then am I bad to mom? Ahem, Mu Qiqi coughed. If you want to flirt, can I invite you to go home? They looked at each other and then turned to Mu Qiqi. You're a famous person in Jianchuan now. I have to see you a few more times before you graduate. Otherwise, I won't be able to get your autograph when you graduate and start working. That's right. That's true. Mu Qiqi replied without hesitation. So, do you really come into contact with all kinds of corpses every day? Aren't you afraid? Mu Qiqi ate her dessert and looked up at Lu Qianqian. It depends on what kind of corpse it is. Decomposed, rotten, or maggots crawling all over it. When Lu Qianqian heard that, her scalp went numb. Don't say it. I've never been scared. Only a case last time. I was so scared that I got sick for a day. Lu Qianqian quickly covered her ears. If you say it again, I won't be able to eat anymore. As my friend, you have to get used to it. After all, my hands. Lu Qianqian subconsciously looked at Mu Qiqi's hand and immediately imagined her holding a scalpel. Xiaoqi stopped teasing her. I don't think she'll be able to sleep tonight. It's your birthday the day after tomorrow. How are you going to celebrate it? Mu Qiqi glanced at him and answered, Get married abroad. Are you so anxious to get married? Nonsense. Mu Qiqi said matter-of-factly. Of course she would not say that her man was anxious. I'll congratulate you in advance then. Lu Qianqian finally managed to ignore Mu Qiqi's hands and shifted her attention to her face. Actually, I'm quite envious of you. You too. No, I mean Xing Xiao. He dotes on you so much. You don't have the so-called mother-in-law and daughter-in-law problem. The whole family dotes on you. Even when you're in a rich family, you can be yourself wholeheartedly. Don't you also have a Mr. Right who will follow you through life and death? Mu Qiqi did not think that she was really envious. Everyone had their own fate and choices. After the three of them had dinner, Mu Qiqi received a call from her man. He was going to Zhongting to accompany him to work. Lin Mu and also planned to send Lu Qianqian to the company. However, when Lu Qianqian entered the company, she was stopped by her third uncle. Qianqian, you have to help me. If you don't, I'm dead meat. What's the matter? Lu Qianqian pulled him up and asked the secretary to help him to his seat. Can you lend me 30 million yuan? Lu Qianqian was stunned. Although she was mentally prepared, she was still shocked when she heard the figure from this man's mouth. What do you want 30 million yuan for? Don't ask me why. I'm just asking you, are you willing to lend it to me? The uncle's expression was very anxious and he looked very embarrassed. It seemed that he did not go home last night. 30 million yuan is not a small amount. I've just become the chairman of Lu Holdings. Where do you want me to transfer the money to you in such a short time? Lu Qianqian asked him. Qianqian, if you don't lend it to me, I can only chop my hand off. You don't want me to live a life worse than death, do you? Gambling debt. Lu Qianqian guessed it immediately. Third uncle took a deep breath and finally nodded. Yes, gambling debt. I don't expect you to pay me back the 30 million yuan. But I want your shares as collateral, Lu Qianqian said seriously. A gambler will do it again after the first time. I don't want you to treat me as your cash cow. If you want 30 million yuan, I'll give you 30 million yuan. If you agree, I'm ready to give you the money. If you don't, you can only find someone else. After all, I remember clearly what you and the other uncles did to me when my father passed away. I'm not the one who put the snake in your room. That's not important, Lu Qianqian said seriously. Do you agree or not? The uncle gritted his teeth and got up from the sofa. You're taking advantage of me. I won't fall for it. I didn't expect you to be so arrogant after becoming the chairman. Just you wait. I'll sell it to someone else but not to you. You mean you don't want the 30 million yuan, right? Lu Qianqian's voice became cold. I don't want it. After saying that, the uncle rushed out of the door. He was probably going to look for his next target. Lu Qianqian took a deep breath and said to the secretary, Send someone to follow him. If anything happens, call the police immediately. Yes, Chairman. Although she had no feelings for these uncles, they were her father's blood relatives. It was unreasonable for her not to care about them at all. But she had just started working. How could she be controlled by these uncles? If this happened and the other uncles did the same thing next time, how could she manage the entire Lu Enterprises? Of course, Lu Qianqian knew that these uncles were not easy to deal with. She had to be prepared to deal with them for a long time. Sometimes she felt very tired, but because of these people she constantly reminded herself that since she was sitting in this position she must be extra serious. After returning to the office, Lu Chanshan sat on the office chair and thought about the whole incident. Then she told the secretary, "Prepare the best wedding gift for me. I want to give it to my best friend." Then, "Does she need anything?" "Forget it. I'll choose it myself. You can help me." Mu Chichi did not lack anything, the only thing she lacked was kindness. Chapter 530. Soon Mu Chichi arrived at Zhongting. Seeing that her man was about to leave with his team, she approached him and asked, "Are you going out for business? Why did you ask me to come?" "The people from Su Holdings have arrived. Fourth sister is in her office, and you haven't seen her for a long time. Go in and talk to her. You want to work with Su Holdings." Sheng Xiao did not deny it and promptly led his team to the meeting room. Mu Chichi did not ask anything, and simply pushed the door open and entered Sheng Xiao's office. Sheng Minglan had not seen Mu Chichi for a long time, and smiled warmly when she saw her. "You are now a celebrity in our family. Fourth sister, are you going to mock me too? I didn't really help much in this case. It's only because of my identity that I caused such a stir. You know that." Mu Chichi sat down beside Sheng Minglan. "Is Jingyun here too?" "Yes. He's leading Su Holdings' team. I'm suddenly curious what kind of sparks would fly between them if they stand on different sides." "Isn't that simple? We'll know when we peek." Mu Chichi smiled. Sheng Xiao had always been successful in the business world, but half of the credit went to Jingyun. Now that they had been separated for half a year, Sheng Xiao's working ability was still as astonishing as ever, and Jingyun would certainly not lose out to him. It would definitely be exciting if they were to get together and talk about a partnership. So, the two family members secretly opened the door of the office. Sheng Xiao saw it at once and so did the secretary. She was about to walk over but Sheng Xiao stopped her. The secretary smiled and told Sheng Xiao, "I'm going to get chairs for the two ladies." After all, Sheng Xiao had once said that Mu Chichi came first in everything. No matter how stupid the secretary was, she would never not know that she was his CEO's favorite. And since she was his favorite, he certainly had to serve her well. Go. Soon, the two ladies entered the meeting room openly, and sat in an inconspicuous corner. Meanwhile, Sheng Xiao was sitting at the head of the table while Jing Yun sat on the other side. It was a representation of their position and position. Although Su Enterprise is a large enterprise, it hasn't been long since we returned to Jianchuan. If you can't come up with the best plan to convince me, then I won't give you face just because we're old acquaintances. Jing Yun smiled and had his secretary put the documents in front of Sheng Xiao. "I've already looked through the information. Although it's 9 out of 10, it's still not perfect for me." "I'm all ears," Jing Yun said. The higher-ups of Zhongting and Su Holdings sat on both sides of the table. They had thought that the meeting would be more relaxed since everyone knew Jing Yun's previous identity. She did not expect Sheng Xiao to be so strict. There are 3 things that Su Holdings wants to work with Zhongting on. First, Zhongting announced at the charity banquet. Su Holdings wants to jointly fund the 10-year school construction project with Zhongting. You will be responsible for the construction of the school's medical facilities. What makes you think that I will agree to it? After all, there's no profit involved and I would have to waste my manpower to contact Su Holdings. Secondly, Su Holdings is in the medical field and I want to set up a special research institute. On this point we coincidentally have the same goal. Your goal is to open up a channel for the military, and I want you to provide technology and talents. This sounds like a win-win situation, but what if you manage to open up a channel for the military and bypass me to negotiate with them? Wouldn't I be nurturing a tiger? Third, there are so many medical companies out there and you don't have enough of an advantage. I could choose Su Holdings or someone else. What do you think, Chief Su? Mu Chichi looked at her man. So, this man was so indifferent when he was on the negotiating table. Even Jing Yun of the past would not give way. Of course, you would be underestimating Jing Yun if you think that would stump him. As Chief Sheng said, firstly, we want to be responsible for the construction of the school's medical facilities, and achieve a win-win situation with Zhongting. That's why we are not implicated in terms of profit. Of course, Zhongting does not need such an extra step now that it has grown so much, but Su Holdings does not need to use Su Holdings' name for the medical facilities, and Zhongting can enjoy that reputation alone. Secondly, the talents needed to establish a special research center are the best, and the technology is exclusive to Su Holdings. Shouldn't Chief Sheng be happy to enjoy such a huge discount just by being a middleman? After all, I could find another way without you. Thirdly, it's true that Su Holdings does not have any advantage except for their deep pockets. But Su Holdings' greatest potential is not the cutting-edge research center, but me. Mu Chichi breathed a sigh of relief at Jing Yun's words. It's really exciting to see the two of them go back and forth. I'm shocked too, Xing Minglan said. Still, from their point of view, it does seem that they should go head-to-head like this. Then who do you think won and who lost? On the surface it looks like they are evenly matched, but the truth is that eighth brother won. Jing Yun is a little shameless, especially the last one, Xing Minglan said with a smile. He was so arrogant because he was sure that eighth brother would give in. Chief Su has said so much. Does anyone else have anything to say? Sheng Xiao asked everyone in the room in a businesslike manner. What else could the others have to say when both of them had put it that way? If that's the case, Su Holdings should come up with a more detailed document and arrange for someone else to come and sign it. I hope you won't disappoint me, Chief Su. Now that Zhongting held the Lu family's shares and was working with Su Holdings, its position in Jianchuan was like the sun at high noon. He believed that in the near future the established companies such as Huang Yao would have to step aside. I'll come again the day after tomorrow and talk to you personally, Chief Sheng. Xing Xiao glanced at Mu Chichi and answered Jing Yun. I won't be around that day. You can talk to the vice president directly. It's your birthday, isn't it? Xing Minglan remembered. Eighth brother wants to celebrate with you? We're actually planning to go abroad for registration. Mu Chichi replied. An old man approaching his 30s doesn't have a sense of security, and is in a hurry to turn me into his cheap wife. Xing Minglan smiled at that. That's a good thing. Eighth brother dotes on you, and I heard from Jing Yun that half of the reason eighth brother wants to set up that research institute is because you're a forensic doctor. Xiaoqi, eighth brother would only be complete with you by his side. I'm really happy for both of you. Perhaps his greatest wish is for you to live happily and freely for the rest of your life. Chapter 531. Following Mu Chichi's gaze, Xing Minglan saw the adoration and gentleness in her eyes. Soon the two men came to their own women. Xing Xiao extended a hand to Mu Chichi. Let's go. Congratulations, Xing Minglan said, leaning into his arms. Xing Minglan leaned into Jing Yun's embrace and told them, you must inform them about the wedding as soon as possible. That's true. It's still too early. Mu Chichi blushed and glanced at Xing Xiao. Then we'll go back first. We'll find a chance to have a good chat when you're back. Mu Chichi nodded and saw Jing Yun and Mu Chichi off Zhongting. Seeing that her man had returned to his post, Mu Chichi propped her hands on the table and asked, I thought I could have dinner with fourth sister and Xing Xiao tonight. Fourth sister is in a hurry to go to the hospital for a checkup. Xing Xiao answered without looking up. Pregnant? Mu Chichi guessed. Probably. That's great news. With that, Mu Chichi walked around the table and sat on Xing Xiao's lap. Talk to me for a while. How am I supposed to work when you're like this? You called me here and you still want to work? Mu Chichi deliberately rubbed against his leg. You used to be a flirt, but you've become a flirt after half a year. Xing Xiao could not stand her moving around, so he pressed her down on the table and leaned over to kiss her. If you don't behave, I'll teach you a lesson and make you cry. How do you want to teach me a lesson? Mu Chichi deliberately rubbed his lips with her fingertips. Xing Xiao did not say anything else, and simply helped her up and walked to his own lounge. Although we've been together for so long, I've never seen you talk business with anyone. If I knew you were so charming, I would have gone out with you more often. Xing Xiao leaned forward at that. Little one, did you smear honey on your lips? Just think of it as me. Man, I want it. Mu Chichi was unbelievably proactive today. She directly reached out and grabbed Xing Xiao's shirt, pulling him closer to her. You're asking for it. After Xing Xiao said that, flirtatious sounds soon came from the lounge. When the secretary knocked on the door and got no response, he knew that his CO must be making out with Madame, so he did not disturb him. After all, as long as Mu Chichi was around, the strict man would become so soft that he was not himself. When the two of them came out of the lounge, it was already 3 hours later. Mu Chichi slept in Xing Xiao's arms, and Xing Xiao carried her out and left Zhongting. In the evening, the lights of the Lu mansion was already lit. Lu Qianshan's family was having dinner at the dining table, and the atmosphere was natural and warm. I think I'll be going back to the police academy in 2 days. During the meal, Lin Mu and suddenly said, I'm almost done resting. I don't want to delay the school any longer. I Mu Qianshan said. Qian. Mu, Qian, Lin Qianshan said. I said. Lu Mu Qian Mu. Lu Xiaomu said. You deserve it. Go back if you want to. Lu Qianqian rolled her eyes. She stopped him from going back because she felt sorry for him. Who would care if it was another man? Lin Muan chuckled. Just as he was about to comfort his woman, Mama Lu suddenly screamed and immediately stood up from the dining table. Lu Qianqian's third uncle rushed into the living room, covered in blood. Mama Lu paled in fright. Qianqian, save me. Save me? Lu Qianqian looked closely and found that her third uncle's left hand was gone. Blood was flowing out of the wound. Lin Mu and quickly shielded the mother and daughter and shouted at the bodyguards. What are you doing? Don't you know when you let him in? The bodyguards rushed forward and held the man's body, but blood was everywhere. Qianqian, you have to save me. They really cut off my hand. Qianqian, Mom, go back to your room. I'll take care of this. Lu Qianqian quickly pushed Mama Lu into the room. Can you do it? Mama Lu was a little dizzy. Muan is here. The bodyguards are here too. It'll be fine. Lu Qianqian quickly comforted her mother. After Mama Lu left, Lu Qianqian went to get the first aid box. We have to stop the bleeding first. Otherwise, the consequences will be unimaginable if he loses too much blood. Give them the box. They know how to do it. Lin Mu and reminded Lu Qianqian to pass the box to the bodyguards. Young Master Lin, we didn't let him in on purpose. He has the key. The debt collectors are outside now. We stopped them just now. After listening to the bodyguards, Lin Mu and walked to the window and looked downstairs. He saw 10 men in black with all kinds of weapons in their hands. How did these people get in? Lu Qianqian was puzzled. Look at them. Even the security guards don't dare to stop them, Lin Mu and replied. Don't worry. The police will be here soon. Qianqian, save me. They will really kill me. Save me. Lu Qianqian looked at her third uncle. He looked so ferocious and bloody. She really couldn't calm down. Lin Mu and saw this and quickly said to her, Go in and accompany Mom. I'll take care of this. Can you? Are you looking down on your man? After saying that, Lin Mu and pushed Lu Qianqian into the room. Lin Mu and still didn't know that his third uncle had already looked for Lu Qianqian. He just squatted in front of him and said, Calm down first. You're safe for now. I won't be safe. These people won't leave until they get 30 million yuan. Niece, son-in-law, help me. Let's call the police. What a joke. 30 million yuan. When Qianqian was in trouble, this group of uncles had many ideas about Qianqian. Now that they were in trouble, they only knew to come here. No, you can't call the police. You can't. If he called the police, then the police would find out about their gambling. Then they would kill him. I cannot call the police. But you must calm down and get treatment first. Son-in-law, I beg you. Give them 30 million yuan. Otherwise they might really kill me. I beg you. Let them bandage your wound first. I'll go in and discuss with Qianqian. After saying that, Lin Mu and signaled the bodyguards to keep a close eye on him. He didn't want to make any mistakes. He also didn't want this man to scare the mother and daughter in the room. Then Lin Mu and got up and entered the room where the mother and daughter were. How is it? He wants 30 million yuan. He already came to me once during the day. I asked him to use his shares as collateral, but he didn't agree. Lu Qianqian said to Lin Mu An. Gambling will happen again if it happens once. How can I give it to him for nothing? Chapter 532. But what do we do now? Lu Qianqian was also shocked by the bloody scene just now. Don't you think it's strange that he has the key to the Lu family? Lin Mu and asked in return. He said he didn't release the snake. Lin Mu and glanced at Lu Qianqian and then turned to Mama Lu. Mommy, please call the other uncles. Since he is a member of the Lu family, I can't let you and your mother face him alone. After all, he is still their biological brother. He is closer than you two. Mama Lu's eyes lit up. Okay. Mama Lu nodded. What about outside now? The police are coming. Those people won't stay long. Third uncle, on the other hand, is emotionally unstable. He might be pretending to be crazy. I'll go out and deal with him. You and your daughter stay here until the other uncles come. Lu Qianqian grabbed Lin Mu An's arm. Will you be okay? Don't worry. Since I'm the only man in the family, I'll certainly protect you. With that, Lin Mu and patted Lu Qianqian's head and went out. In the living room, third uncle of the Lu family had calmed down a little. He was sitting on the sofa covered in blood. But he still looked terrified like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bough. How is it? What did Qianqian say? Don't panic. The people downstairs have left. Lin Muan said. Chanchan is making a call to see where she can get $30 million. Can you tell me why you have the key to the Lu family, third uncle? It's not just me. The other uncles of the Lu family all have it. Third uncle said. I really didn't release the snake. It's the youngest. What a despicable way to deal with two women. Lin Muan snorted. Third uncle thought that Lu Chanchan was really raising money for him. But he didn't know that the other uncles came quickly after hearing the news. They entered the Lu family's house one after another, which made third uncle very embarrassed. Why didn't you inform them? They are your brothers. Shouldn't you inform them when you've done something bad? Are you trying to bully Chanchan and her daughter just because they are women? The others were also a little uncomfortable when they saw the blood on the floor. Before they sat down, they thought that this man had come to Lu Chanchan's house to commit murder. Then Lu Chanchan and her mother came out of the room, and they breathed a sigh of relief. If there was any big news, it would not be good for Lu Enterprises. The reason why I called you over at this time is that I need to discuss with you about third uncle's debt of 30 million yuan. Lu Chanchan explained to the puzzled people. Third uncle wants us to save him. Do you have any objections? No, third bro likes to gamble. What does that have to do with us? Second bro said, if he's being chased after, do we have to clean up his mess? Second uncle, you saw it too. Third uncle's hand is gone. As his brother, are you really going to leave him to die? You are the chairman of Lu Enterprises. How can I be in charge of this matter? Now you recognize me as the chairman. Lu Chanchan snorted coldly. 30 million isn't a lot of money for you, uncles. You can find a beautiful mistress outside and give her more than 30 million. Chanchan, the money is our own. How we use it is our own business. I just don't want to spend money on this gambler. You can't do anything about it, right? What about uncle? Are you going to leave him to die too? If you agree, we will each give 10 million yuan to help third uncle through this difficult time. What do you think? Lu Chanchan turned around and asked the youngest. Little uncle of the Lu family was the most scheming. But faced with such a situation, he could only say, when Big Brother was still around, we were like our father. Indeed, we should be united. But now that Big Brother is gone, I think it's better for us to live our own lives. Besides, we don't know what kind of person third brother has offended this time. If he goes to gamble again, what should we do? We have families too. We can't keep supporting him, can we? In the end, they were not willing to take out the money, even if it was 10 million yuan. When third uncle heard this, he glared at them angrily. You two are worse than beasts. If you make me angry, I will expose all the dirty things you have done to the media. Go ahead. You're the one being chased by the creditor spider. Everyone's focus will only be on you. If you really want to make a big deal out of this, Chanchan will be the first to object. Wouldn't that be a disgrace to Lu Enterprises? Third uncle was speechless when he heard what youngest uncle Lu said. Alright, I know your attitude. Since everyone is here today, let's make things clear. It's fine if you don't want to save third uncle today. I won't force you. But if you are in trouble in the future, don't blame me for not reminding you. You won't get our help either. We don't need it. Second uncle smiled firmly. Alright then. You can leave. But before you leave, hand over the key to my house. Otherwise, I will ask a lawyer to handle this. Trash is trash. They do such dirty things. They don't even let women go. The other two uncles looked unhappy, especially when Lu Chanchan scolded them. We don't know what you are talking about. They definitely have your keys on them. Third uncle finally spoke up. Since you're being heartless, I'm not going to be righteous either. Don't slander us. And the snake in Chanchan's room was released by the youngest. We can't be bothered to listen to your nonsense. Having said that, the two uncles quickly got up and left the Lu mansion. Then Lu Chanchan looked at third uncle coldly. These are your brothers. They are all shameless people. I didn't count on them in the first place. Third uncle said in despair. I know that you don't want to help me. But I have nowhere to go. There's no other way. I'm still going to say the same thing. If you want $30 million, I can give it to you. But I want the shares in your hands as collateral. $30 million isn't much, so you don't have to be so nervous. I just want you to know that I paid a price for this money. If you want to gamble again, you should think it through. After hearing what Lu Chanchan said, third uncle finally nodded. I promise you. If you said that earlier, your hand wouldn't be like this. The bodyguards will accompany you to the hospital later. They will ensure your safety tonight. Come back tomorrow to sign the papers and get the money. All right. Third uncle finally compromised with Lu Chanchan. In his heart, he had a deeper understanding of this little girl. She was definitely not a paper tiger. I will return the key to you. Chapter 533. Soon, the bodyguard sent third uncle of the Lu family away. But the bloodstains on the floor made one's scalp tingle. Mama Lu was very pleased. My Chanchan has really grown up. Mommy, you should go back to your room and rest. I'll ask the servants to clean it up. Chanchan, I think you should be on guard tonight. Your youngest uncle did not hesitate to hurt the people of Lu Holdings just to cause trouble for you. Now that he knows about your third uncle, he might think of a way to blow things up and humiliate Lu Holdings. Then, the board of directors will make things difficult for you. Mama Lu felt that it made sense. Chanchan, I also think that we should be on guard. If he really does something unusual, we can fight back or even pull him out. Okay, I know. I'll ask my secretary to inform the media to block any news related to Lu Holdings and track down the person who released the news. Okay, I'll contact the people who changed the locks. Lin Mu, and also said. He had planned to go back to the police academy tonight, but now it seemed that both mother and daughter were frightened. So he would go back tomorrow. It was already 11 at night when everything was settled. When Lin Mu and returned to his room, Lu Chanshan had already taken a shower and was lying on the bed. Then Lin Mu and washed up and hugged Lu Chanshan in his arms. Don't be afraid. I'm here. I know. Lu Chanshan hugged Lin Mu and tightly. But I still feel scared when I think of what happened in the afternoon, especially when I think of third uncle's wound. It's so bloody that my scalp tingles. Lisa will be here when I'm not around. Don't worry. I'm just thinking that I can't even stand such a scene. How did Chi-Chi endure it? What she saw was 100 times more disgusting. We're both girls. I really feel a little cowardly. After hearing this, Lin Mu and laughed. Is she an ordinary person? It's a miracle that she could subdue Xing Xiao. I won't be surprised no matter what she does in the future. We are just mortals. We should just enjoy the life of mortals. It's not just you. Even I feel uncomfortable. That's true. Seeing that Lu Chanshan was about to fall asleep, Lin Mu and kissed her forehead. I'm going back to the police academy tomorrow. Are you really not going to do anything with me? I'm scared. I just want to sleep. All right then, go to sleep. Lin Mu and did not force her. But at that moment, Lu Chanshan suddenly turned over and pressed herself on top of him. Lin Muan was shocked. What are you doing? Thinking about it, I'll eat you first, then sleep. During the days when Lin Muan was injured, Lu Chanshan was more proactive because his hands were not convenient. Lin Muan could only reach out and hold Lu Chanshan's waist. It was just that the posture of a woman on top would inevitably make a man feel dissatisfied. It was really uncomfortable when he was not in control of the rhythm. However, Lu Chanshan's blushing face was a different kind of charm. Thinking about it, it was actually not bad. The next morning, Mu Chichi was praised in the school. At the same time, Gu Xiling accompanied Mama Gu to meet the lawyer for the final evaluation. Should they give it their all or should they apply for bankruptcy? Mama Gu did not blame anyone for what had happened to the Gu family. If she had found out earlier that her husband was under such heavy pressure, she would not have allowed her husband to become so schizophrenic. And her younger brother was now a murderer. If she had not spoiled him when they were young, things would not have turned out this way, and her younger brother's life would not have been ruined. However, Gu Xiling did not think so. Before Mu Chichi appeared, the Gu family was fine. It had always been fine. This time it was Mu Chichi who did not let it go. She wanted to take revenge on the charity banquet. So, Gu Xiling hated her very much. Mommy, one day I will make Mu Chichi lose everything. After hearing that, Mama Gu was a little puzzled. What does this have to do with Mu Chichi? If she did not work hard in the police station, the Gu family would not have ended up like this. Mama Gu looked at Gu Xiling in shock. Because she did not expect that her daughter would transfer her hatred to Mu Chichi. No matter what, this matter was not Mu Chichi's fault. Although she worked hard in the investigation, it was her duty to stand on the other side. Xiling, Mom, you don't have to worry about me. I'm doing well in the Sheng family. Now Akai is willing to believe me. And Grandpa Sheng will not dare to do anything to me. He will not dare to chase me out of the Sheng family. What? Mama Gu asked. Because Akai is infertile. If he chases me out, I will definitely not hide this matter for the Sheng family. Grandpa Sheng cannot afford to lose his face, Gu Xiling said. Then what about you? It is not a long-term solution to not have children. Don't worry. I will let Grandpa make the decision. Everything will be done according to his wishes. This was Gu Ziling's cleverness. Mama Gu nodded. You should know your limits. After all, you are Akai's wife. Don't make things irreversible because of this matter. After all, you still need to rely on him for the rest of your life. I know. However, not only was there the annoying Muchichi outside, but there was also third brother and his wife in the Sheng family who always went against her. She had to think of a way to break up the relationship between the couple and make Hu Ran go back to the Hu family. When she went back to the Hu family, Hu Ran's stepmother would teach her a lesson. In the afternoon in Xingting University, Muchichi went to the university to apply for leave, because she was going abroad to register her marriage tomorrow. Although she appeared to be indifferent to Xing Zhao's suggestion, deep in her heart she was still looking forward to it. You want to apply for leave again? What for? Feng Shanshan asked when she saw the approved leave slip. It's a private matter. Muchichi did not say it clearly. That's great. After you leave, I will follow up the cases in the forensics laboratory. When the time comes, I will get some commendation. Feng Shanshan said sourly. You should leave for a few more days. Tiske. Muchichi laughed. Why are you still saying one thing but what you mean? Are we really not friends? Who wants to be friends with you? Feng Shanshan snorted. If you have time, you should still go and have a relationship. You can't ruin your good school life because of a scumbag. There are still many men in this world for you to choose from. Muchichi tried to persuade her. The professor said that an unmarried man is coming to the police station. Are you not interested at all? Chapter 534. Muchichi shook her head. She felt that it was too early for Feng Shanshan to say that. She might be slapped in the face when they meet tonight. Do whatever you want. Just don't tell me that you've fallen in love with her. Let's wait and see. Feng Shanshan was very confident. Muchichi returned home in the evening and saw the Shin family in the living room. She smiled. Why are you all here? We are just going abroad to register. You don't have to come. You can't say that. Huang Yu held Muchichi's hand and said, You are the pearl of the Shin family. Your grandfather and father are proud of you. Even if the marriage certificate is only recognized abroad, you are still going to be eighth brother's wife. How can the family not come to see you off when your daughter is getting married? Second aunt, don't be too nice to me. Chi-Chi, come here. Shin Jianchuan sat on the sofa and waved at Muchichi. Muchichi walked over and sat beside Shin Jianchuan. What's wrong, Dad? Shin Jianchuan took out a brocade box from behind and placed it on Muchichi's legs. This is the wedding dress I prepared for you. I hope that I can see my daughter get married beautifully. Muchichi opened the brocade box and saw a pure white gown with accessories inside. Whether it's at home or abroad, we will recognize it when you get married. You can marry the person you like. This is my biggest wish. If you can be happy, I will have no regrets in this life. Muchichi put down the gift and hugged Shin Jianchuan. Dad, you must be healthy too. Wait to be a grandpa in the future. Silly child, I prepared the gown, your grandfather prepared the necklace, and your aunt prepared the headwear. Alright, the child will be leaving soon. Let's talk while we eat. Mama Sheng finished cooking and went to the living room. Eighth brother will be back soon. Everyone wash your hands and get ready for dinner. Muchichi thought about it and walked to Grandpa Shin. She said, Grandpa, I hope I didn't embarrass you. Now, everyone knows that the Shin family has a young forensic doctor. I'm proud of it. Why would I feel embarrassed? Grandpa Sheng patted Muchichi's shoulder. Just be yourself. I don't care what others say now. Muchichi really couldn't stand the love from her family. Her eyes turned red and she cried. Sheng Xiao saw that as soon as he entered the house. So, he walked up to Muchichi and patted her head. What's wrong? Everyone treats me too well. Why are you crying when I'm treating you well? Are you born to be abused? Sheng Xiao shook his head and led her to the restaurant. We're leaving early. Have a good meal. You'll have to suffer for a long time on the plane. Got it? After dinner, Sheng Xiao carried his luggage and pushed Muchichi out of the house. His family stood at the door and hugged them. All of us are waiting for your return. Okay, Muchichi answered Mama Sheng with a smile. Right now, this young couple was the bond that kept the two families together. They were also everyone's concern. Muchichi got into the car with everyone's blessings. She leaned into Xing Zhao's arms. I wonder how they will feel when we get married. Idiot, we're getting married for real now. Alright. She couldn't afford to offend a man in his 30s. They were getting married for real now. You're going to be my husband soon. How do you feel? In the night, Xing Xiao lowered his head and looked at Muchichi. For a long time he couldn't say a word. Just as Muchichi was about to fall asleep, he slowly said, "I feel that I can't wait until 2 years to register with you. I want to enjoy the status of a husband in advance now. But at the same time, I feel that the responsibility has become heavier." "Is it different from before?" "I have a sense of belonging. I feel like I'm really married. Because I have to shoulder the responsibility of taking care of the family, I feel that the responsibility has become heavier." TSK. Muchichi lay on his lap. "Why don't I have this sense of belonging? It's because I felt that I was yours from the beginning. I've always been very intuitive. But there's one thing I agree with. I like that you live your life with a sense of ceremony. It makes me feel that I'm fully valued. Sleep for a while. I'll wake you up when we reach the airport." Sheng Xiao hugged her, grabbed a thick blanket and put it on Muchichi. "No, I want to hug you soberly." Sheng Xiao ignored her and asked Su Che to turn on the lights. Then he took out a document to read. Muchichi lay on his lap instead. She could even be used as a human table for him. Because she was used to this kind of Sheng Xiao. She also liked this kind of Sheng Xiao. At the same time, in the forensics laboratory, Feng Shanshan was helping the professor with an experiment. The professor glanced at her and smiled. "Shanshan, are you still single?" "Professor, don't tell me you're asking me to see a psychologist like Muchichi did." "Everyone in the office is going. Aren't you going?" The professor reminded her. "I heard that this expert is a real high-quality resource. He's very good at martial arts." "Professor, I was actually quite bad in the past. I did a lot of things to trick Muchichi. I was powerful and greedy. So, those noble souls are really not suitable for me." The professor laughed when he heard this. "This is the first time I've heard a girl describe herself like this. As the saying goes, a prodigal son who repents is more valuable than gold. As long as you repent now, how can you not be worthy of those noble souls?" "Don't. I'm afraid. I'm full of secrets. I'm most afraid of being seen through. That's the expert's specialty." "The expert won't be bored to see what color your internal organs are." Hearing such a capable and vicious remark, Feng Shanshan and the professor turned around together. They saw a tall and thin man standing at the entrance of the forensics laboratory. He was wearing black casual clothes and a cap, giving off an extremely oppressive feeling. "I'm Tang Yen, a new police officer. I'm good at profiling. I'm here to say hello to the forensics team. I didn't mean to eavesdrop. You didn't close the door." Feng Shanshan was stunned. She suddenly wanted to see the face under the cap. What did it look like? "Hello." The professor immediately went up to shake his hand. "We're just joking. I hope you don't mind." "Is this considered a bad guy hiding in the police station?" Tang Yen slowly curled his lips with a hint of mockery. "Oh no." Feng Shanshan stood stiffly by the pool. She could not control herself at all. Indeed, one should not talk behind people's backs. Chapter 535. Tang Yin smiled nonchalantly. "Professor, please take care of me in the future." "It's my duty." The professor smiled. Then Tang Yin crossed his arms, glanced at Feng Shanshan and left the forensics lab. The professor glanced at Feng Shanshan and could not help but laugh. "How is it?" "I told you. He's handsome, right?" Feng Shanshan's face was very red, but it was not because of the man, but because someone had bumped into her from behind. Strictly speaking, it was because of embarrassment. This man is not a gentleman at all. He doesn't even know how to knock. This man should be 185 meters tall. He's tall, handsome, and very strong. Didn't you see his arms? They're all muscles. He's in high demand, Shanshan. He's the type that Muchichi likes. Don't use Muchichi as a shield. She already has the strongest man. Why would she look at another man? You should think about yourself." Feng Shanshan did not say anything. She lowered her head and did her own things. This man must have a very low EQ. He was not the kind of man who would do anything for a woman. Otherwise he would not have said such embarrassing words. What a poisonous tongue. No matter how strong a man is, he will become soft when he meets the woman he likes. Feng Shanshan was like a turtle hiding in its shell. Late at night, she took a taxi home and saw Tang Yen at the door. To avoid embarrassment, Feng Shanshan hid behind the glass. After a while, she saw Tang Yen riding away on his motorcycle. That was so cool. Of course, Feng Shanshan would not admit that she was attracted to this man. Late at night at the Lu mansion. When Lu Qianshan returned home, Lin Mu and had already returned to the police academy. Mama Lu saw that she came home very late, so she asked her if anything happened. Lu Chanshan sat down on the sofa and answered her mother, Mu, and is right. Uncle really wanted to expose this matter, but the people we arranged to stop him. I have already informed the shareholders' meeting to be held tomorrow. It's time to clean up the rubbish. My daughter, you've worked hard. Having said that, Mama Lu took a package from the table. This is for you. I don't know who sent it. Mommy, aren't you afraid that it might be a bomb? It's not as dangerous as you think. Mama Lu smiled. Someone must have sent the cosmetics. Lu Chanshan opened it and saw expensive cosmetics lying inside. She then looked at the note inside. Thank you for last time. What happened last time? Lu Chanshan suddenly understood. I know who sent this. Who? Muan's aunt. Chi-Chi and I saved her a few days ago, Lu Chanshan replied. I didn't expect her to be a grateful person. Perhaps this is the arrangement of the heavens. It is fated that you should form a good relationship with the Lin clan. After saying that, Mama Lu walked to the dining table. Let's eat. Before Muan left, he reminded me again and again that you must eat on time. Don't ruin my plans. I know, Mommy. At the moment, the atmosphere in the Sheng family was very stiff. Gu Ziling's eyes were red all the time. Maybe it was because she was too upset. Hu Ran and Xing Bowen were about to meet the paparazzi in the circle, so they did not have time to care about Gu Ziling. However, when dinner was about to end, Gu Ziling suddenly asked third brother, I heard from the servant that you and sister-in-law always have a quilt on the bed and a quilt on the sofa. Do you two sleep in separate beds? Xing Bowen was stunned. Xing Bowen was stunned for a moment and shook his head. Oh, that's good. I thought you two were up to something or sister-in-law was not feeling well. Gu Ziling sounded like a meddlesome sister-in-law. She seemed to be very concerned about third brother and Xing Bowen. Second sister-in-law, mind your own business. Hu Ran said coldly. Indeed. The Gu family is going bankrupt soon. I don't think I have the right to take care of you. All right. Your second sister-in-law is just concerned about you. You don't have to fight with me every time, do you? Shen Kai retorted. I know third sister-in-law doesn't like Xiling. But since it's over, you should learn to look forward. Let the past be in the past. Let's eat. Hu Ran rolled her eyes. This couple was really putting on a show every day. And Gu Xiling was just like her father. Yesterday she was arrogant. Today she was nice. You could not keep up with her at all. After dinner, the family dispersed. However, Hu Ran stopped Gu Xiling on the way. She asked directly, what tricks are you playing now? I'm not playing any tricks. I just thought you and third brother haven't slept together yet. So I asked out of concern. Are you that kind? Hu Ran did not believe her nonsense. If that's the case, don't tell me the two of you really haven't slept together? You know what I mean. Hu Ran glared at Gu Xiling. Then she turned around and left. It's none of your business. Shen Kai and I made a promise to be a contractual couple. But in the end we did it for real. Now that I think about it, you and third brother probably have the same troubles. After all, you have never been in a relationship. No, who would be interested in you when you were like that? Gu Xiling smiled and left. Hu Ran was left standing in the long hallway. She did not know what to do. She and third brother were not real husband and wife. But this matter must not be known to others. Especially Grandpa. Otherwise he would think that they were putting on a show to stall for time. After all, third brother's position in the Sheng family was really worrisome. It was only because he married her that he regained Grandpa Sheng's trust. Because of that, third brother was summoned to old Sheng's study. Is what your second sister-in-law said true? What is it? Third brother pretended not to understand. What are you two up to about sleeping in the same room but not in the same bed? You are already married. What else do you want? Grandpa, we got married after seeing each other a few times. We don't have any feelings for each other. So, we want to give each other more time. Damn time. Do you want me to urge you on such a thing? Hurry up and give me a child. Don't do this nonsense. Grandpa Sheng was furious. I can't count on your second brother for this. I'm counting on you. You're going to consummate me tonight. How ridiculous. Third brother thought about the old man's words. It sounded a little strange. Why couldn't he count on Shen Kai? Moreover, what era was it now? Why were young people forced to sleep in the same bed? Chapter 536. Then, third brother returned to his room unhappily. When Hu Ran saw him, she knew that he must have been taught a lesson by Grandpa Sheng. I really don't understand. Isn't that woman busy enough? She even cares if we sleep on the same bed. Of course. If Grandpa knows that we are only in name, he will definitely have a lot of ideas. Hu Ran sat on the bed and tidied up the bedding. Then she said to third brother, "From today onwards you can sleep on the bed. Don't sleep on the sofa anymore." Xiao Ran, "Why don't we have a drink?" Hu Ran suggested. In fact, both of them had the same idea. But they did not know how to say it. They also did not know how to do it when they were sober. So Hu Ran suggested drinking. Third brother nodded and went out. "I'll get it." When Hu Ran saw third brother going out, she took out her pajamas from the wardrobe and put them on. In fact, she was already prepared. Although she was not sure about her feelings, she did not plan to change her husband. But if Sheng Bowen met a woman he loved in the future, she could leave. After a while, Sheng Bowen returned to the room with a glass of red wine in his hand. Seeing Hu Ran in her pajamas, he blushed. Let's drink?" Hu Ran did not explain. She just sat beside Sheng Bowen. Sheng Bowen smelled the fragrance of the red wine and Hu Ran's body. All of a sudden he felt his heart surging. "What's wrong?" "Xiao Ran, you don't have to do this." "But I don't regret it." Hu Ran smiled. "Let's drink." As they drank, Hu Ran leaned on third brother, which made him even more distracted. It was not that Sheng Bowen had never seen Hu Ran wearing skimpy clothes before. It was just that he had never seen her in such a seductive way like today. "Xiao Ran, I always feel that I am taking advantage of you." Hu Ran could not help but laugh. "Why are you so shy and cute?" Having said that, Hu Ran raised her head and kissed third brother's lips. But Sheng Bowen's body stiffened. Then he pushed Hu Ran away and hid in the bathroom. After thinking for a while, he called Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao was still at the airport. He was about to board the plane. "What's the matter? Eighth brother? What do I need to pay attention to before or during that kind of thing with a girl?" Xing Xiao was speechless. "So you've been a vegetarian for the past 20 years? I don't believe that you had someone else before Chi-Chi." Xing Xiao choked. "This kind of thing is self-taught. There's no need for any teaching. Isn't a girl's first time very painful? You figure it out yourself, idiot. I'm boarding now." Having said that, Xing Xiao hung up without giving Sheng Bowen any substantive advice. After being nervous for a while, Sheng Bowen returned to the bedroom. However, Hu Ran was already lying on the bed, breathing evenly. But the more she was like that, the more third brother knew that Hu Ran was pretending to be asleep. "Xiao Ran, if you don't want to, I won't force you." "Go to sleep," Hu Ran said calmly. "It's not what you think. I'm just nervous because this is my first time doing something so intimate with a girl." After Hu Ran heard this, she sat up on the bed and couldn't help but laugh. "Ah, are you serious? I didn't expect you to be so innocent, third brother." "I'm very serious about relationships. I don't want to be casual," Sheng Bowen explained. "So, I didn't push you away on purpose just now." Looking at Sheng Bowen's ear, Hu Ran laughed again. "I thought you really despised me. How is that possible?" As soon as Sheng Bowen said that, Hu Ran kissed him. This time it was not a light kiss. Instead, it was a kiss with some exploration and desire. After a while, Hu Ran let go of him. "Since you don't know how to do it, let's explore together. Let's start with kissing. How does it feel?" "Not bad." Then Hu Ran boldly took off Sheng Bowen's shirt and reached out to touch his chest. "How about this?" "It's a little strange." Hu Ran laughed again. Because she had never seen such an innocent man. Although Sheng Bowen looked like a righteous child, it was unexpected that he was so conservative. "It seems that we have to do it step by step." After Hu Ran said that, she helped Sheng Bowen put on his pajamas. "Let's sleep. Don't sleep on the sofa tonight. We have to make that woman speechless." Then the two of them lay on the bed. However, looking at Hu Ran's back, Sheng Bowen felt a little defeated. "Us should be very embarrassing in this aspect." Hu Ran laughed and then turned around and threw herself into Sheng Bowen's arms. "No, I just think it's fun to tease you. As long as you don't feel disappointed." Hu Ran chuckled and closed her eyes. Although many women liked men with superb skills, Hu Ran liked men like Sheng Bowen. He attached great importance to these things. At least she could be sure that he would not mess around. It would also make her feel unexpectedly at ease. Although the two of them had slept on the same bed several times, it was the first time they hugged each other so tightly. Sheng Bowen even felt a little difficult to breathe. Although in his heart, he had long regarded Hu Ran as his only wife. After a 13-hour flight, Mu Chichi and Xing Xiao finally arrived at Las Vegas in the United States. Strictly speaking, this was Mu Chichi's first time in the United States. It wasn't as if there weren't any exchanges in the school, but Mu Tongxue would always snatch the opportunity, and she would always be the one left behind. Come to think of it, it was a little funny that a rich young lady like her rarely had the chance to go abroad. Let's go to the hotel first. We'll go and register tomorrow morning. It was 7 o'clock in the evening when they arrived in the United States. You've calculated my birthday, haven't you? Mu Chichi asked, looking up at him. Sheng Xiao smiled and did not say anything. He held Mu Chichi's hand and got into the hotel car. Then he hugged her. If you're tired, you can continue to sleep. There's still a long way to go before we reach the hotel. If you don't rest well, your eyes will be swollen when we get married. It's too ugly. I don't want you anymore. Mu Chichi was so excited that she could not sleep. Forget it if you don't want it. Little one, your skin is itching again. Mu Chichi leaned into Sheng Xiao's arms. She felt that it was very unreal. Although they were just going to register their marriage abroad, she was going to be married to this man for real. Was the thing that she had dreamed of since she was 17 finally coming true? Thinking of the bitterness when she had a crush on him, Mu Chichi suddenly chuckled. Chapter 537. You're laughing at me for having a crush on you and not daring to tell anyone. Now we're getting married. You had a crush on me then? I can see through everything. How is it a crush? Sheng Xiao exposed her. You look at me as if you want to eat me up every day. Anyone would know that. Mu Chichi thought about it. It seemed to be the case. She smiled shyly. I'm lucky that you like me too. I'm looking forward to the registration tomorrow. It was 2 o'clock in the afternoon in Jianchuan. Lu Qianxian informed the directors of the meeting. She did not tell them what the topic of the meeting was. The shareholders thought that something urgent had happened to Lu Holdings. So they all came to the meeting, including Lu Qianxian's 2 uncles. Chairman Lu, if there's anything urgent, just say it quickly. The directors could not wait any longer. The main reason for the meeting today is this. Lu Qianxian looked at her youngest uncle with a complicated expression. Then she continued, I believe all of you already know about my third uncle's injury. He got one of his hands chopped off because he owed a debt. Now he is receiving treatment in the hospital. This is supposed to be the Lu family's dirty linen. I shouldn't publicize it here. However, because this matter is related to another matter which involves the interests of Lu Holdings, I have to bring it to the board for discussion today. Chairman Lu, don't keep us guessing. Hurry up and tell us. The directors were anxious. Youngest uncle, I want to know how much you sold the news to the media. Lu Qianxian questioned her uncle directly. The youngest uncle was stunned when Lu Qianxian mentioned him. Then he shrugged. What does it have to do with me if third brother owes a debt? It has nothing to do with you. I don't care if you don't save him. I just want to ask you, why did you expose the matter of third uncle being chased by someone at home? Lu Qianxian, you need evidence to speak and do things. What do you mean by exposing it to the media? Do you have evidence? The youngest uncle of the Lu family was good at cheating. Do you think I dare to hold a board meeting without evidence? Lu Qianxian took out her phone and found the evidence she got from the reporters. The account that transferred the money is yours, right? The secretary who went to the reporters is yours, right? Also, did you prepare this draft that is going to be leaked? Everyone looked at the evidence in Lu Qianxian's hand. Then they all looked at the youngest uncle of the Lu family. You're a human on one side and a ghost on the other. Don't you think you're a little too divided? What do you mean by this? What good would it do you to expose third uncle's affairs and damage the Lu family's reputation? If you just want to make things difficult for me, please do it openly. Don't sneakily make people's keys behind my back and put poisonous snakes in my room. Little Uncle Lu's face turned red, but he suddenly realized that he could not win against a little girl in an argument. Chairman Lu is really going to do that? How? How? The shareholders started. Whether he is so wicked or not, you will know once you ask him. So, I want to hold this board meeting today. I think, based on what youngest uncle has done, I propose to kick him out of the board. Shareholders, please make a statement. The shareholders understood Lu Qianxian's intention. It turned out that she wanted to remove the youngest uncle of the Lu family from his position as a director. The youngest Lu stood up immediately. Lu Qianxian, aren't you bored? Do you think you can kick me out of the board just because of this? No way. Lu Qianxian looked at her youngest uncle fiercely. Then she smiled sarcastically. Just because of this? Do you know how much Lu Holdings' reputation will be affected if this gets out? Do you know how much manpower and resources Lu Holdings will have to spend to calm down the public because of your revenge? You are sacrificing the interests of the shareholders for your own selfishness. If I don't kick you out of the board, how can I explain to the other shareholders? You are too selfish. You are too much. You bully the weak with your uncle's identity. You don't know who developed Lu Holdings. The youngest uncle of the Lu family was even more furious when he heard the comments of the shareholders. Lu Chanshan, you are using your position to get even. Ladies and gentlemen, please vote. I don't want to see this person appear on the board again. Lu Chanshan did not care about the resistance of the youngest uncle of the Lu family at all. She directly initiated the vote. Please note that if you want to keep such a selfish person, I won't object. Anyway, just watch your wallet. You should know that his means of creating risks are top-notch. Then it was time to vote. Almost 2/3 of the shareholders agreed with Lu Chanshan's proposal. Seeing this result, the youngest uncle of the Lu family directly rushed toward Lu Chanshan. This doesn't count. It doesn't count. You have no right to make me leave. Lu Chanshan raised her head and looked at her youngest uncle. I won't argue with you about letting the snake out. But from today onwards, if you bully my daughter and my widowed mother again and cause trouble for Lu Holdings, I won't show any mercy to you. Lu Chanshan, I will kill you. Security. Lu Chanshan directly asked the secretary to call the security guards in and dragged the youngest uncle of the Lu family out of the meeting room. When everyone saw Lu Chanshan's decisive attitude, they also saw her father's wisdom and decisiveness in her. When faced with a problem, she did not have the timidity of a normal little girl. Instead, she had reason and evidence and moved forward bravely without fear. With such boldness, the shareholders were also convinced. She was still young now. When she grew older, she would be able to achieve more glory for the Lu family. After today's incident, I hope that you can pay attention to your own safety, in case some people have ill intentions. Thank you for your concern. I have bodyguards, Lu Chanshan replied. She knew that the scumbag would not let it go just like that. But, in order to protect her mother and the Lu family, she had to do some sinister things. The forensics laboratory was unusually quiet in the evening. Feng Shanshan deliberately avoided Tang Yen and entered the forensics laboratory. She wondered if the people in the police station were all so thirsty. With such a man coming, the beautiful police officers went crazy. Professor, this Officer Tang is suitable to be admired. The professor smiled and asked her, why? With that kind of face and body, he doesn't go to beauty pageants or sing. Instead, he becomes a police officer doing psychological profiling. The people in the police station are so fascinated by him that they can't think properly. Feng Shanshan had to admit that she felt a little disdainful when she saw the infatuated young police officers. Have they never seen a handsome man before? After hearing what she said, the professor smiled even more happily. Do you have such a big opinion of Officer Tang? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes. When she was about to answer, a tall figure walked out from the laboratory. And his expression was serious. You seem to dislike me. Chapter 538. Hee, did I say that? Feng Shanshan asked Tang Yen with a smile. Professor, I'm leaving. Thank you for today. Tang Yen did not waste any more time with Feng Shanshan. He simply buttoned up his shirt and left the forensics lab. Professor, why didn't you tell me that there was someone else inside? I probably didn't tell you that Officer Tang is my nephew, the professor explained innocently. He said that his shoulder and neck are not feeling well recently. I asked him to come over and I'll take a look. Feng Shanshan said, You're really good. I'm so embarrassed. It's raining outside. Did you bring an umbrella? I'll ask Tang Yen to send you back later. Won't the misunderstanding be cleared up? The professor said happily while cleaning the scalpel. When is Muchichi coming back? Feng Shanshan began to miss Muchichi. If she was here, the atmosphere would not be so awkward. After Huatsong's case, the branch office was quiet for a few days. So, the forensics lab did not need any assistance. Feng Shanshan did not need to stay in the lab until late at night. When Feng Shanshan walked out of the lab, it was 9 o'clock at night. Tang Yen was at the door with an umbrella in his hand. His tall figure was always eye-catching. However, when he turned around and looked at the girl who had disagreed with him again and again, he thought that she would come over to help him with the umbrella. However, she pretended not to see him and rushed into the rainy night with her bag on her back. It took at least 10 minutes to get from the branch office to the bus stop. Was she going to get drenched in the rain? What a stubborn girl. When he arrived at the branch office, he was indeed a little interested in Muchichi. But he did not see Muchichi. Instead, he met such a strange girl. Was his umbrella poisonous? It had been raining a lot in Jianchuan recently. The winter wind was biting. Gu Xiling had been quite quiet recently. Every day she prepared dinner on time and welcomed everyone from the Xing family home from Huangyao. She spent some time to investigate Xing Bowen's past love history. But she found that this man, who had lived for more than 30 years, had never had a woman. There was no way to talk about finding an ex or any exciting love history. Ran was the same. Before she became stupid, she had never had a formal boyfriend. After she became stupid, there was no need to talk about it. If he wanted to drive a wedge between the two of them, he would have to find another way. Thinking of this, Gu Xiling asked Xing Kai after dinner, "Is third brother's secretary a man or a woman?" "Woman, what happened? Can you arrange a pretty and smart one for him?" Gu Xiling asked. Xing Kai looked at her for a long time. In the end he did not say anything. However, he understood what she meant. She wanted to create some trouble for third brother. "I will handle this matter," said Xing Kai. "Kai, there are some things that you have to do. Firstly, to keep an eye on him. Secondly, the Gu family has gone bankrupt, and the Hu family behind Hu Ran will be a great threat to you. I want to get rid of this stumbling block for you." Xing Kai hugged Gu Xiling and nodded. "I know you did it for me." In another room, Hu Ran and third brother were discussing how to meet the paparazzi. That scumbag always stood them up when they met. In fact, third brother also knew what he wanted. It was nothing more than money. It was very simple. However, Hu Ran felt that even if she wanted to give him money, it would depend on whether what he said was worth it. "Don't worry about this matter. I will contact the paparazzi. When we meet again I will tell you." Before third brother went to bed, he said to Hu Ran, "There is one more thing. My friend abroad told me that Tiffany & Company is starting to expose its shortcomings. In less than a month, the scandal will definitely spread." "What about Huangyao?" Xing Bowen shrugged. "Second brother insists on not withdrawing his investment. He wants to increase the investment. Grandpa believes in him. I can't do anything about it. I can only wait to suffer. You have tried your best. Don't make things difficult for yourself." Hu Ran smiled at him. Xing Bowen tugged at his hair and smiled too. "Eighth brother has taught me some ways to salvage the situation. I only hope that when the time comes, Huangyao will not fall too deep. What about you? Is the communication with father-in-law going well? Dad said that before I show him the evidence, he will not let that woman get pregnant. So I still have time." "That's good." After that, the two of them hugged each other naturally and lay down to sleep. But that was all. The two of them were like injured foxes hugging each other for warmth. In this extremely cold world of ice and snow, there was only each other. It was 9 o'clock in the morning in America. Mu Chichi and Xing Xiao filled in the documents at the notary office in America. After that, they would hold a small ceremony in the hall of the notary office. After that, they had to go through 2 notarization procedures. Even so, it would take about a week before they could get the marriage certificate. Seeing that the man in the black suit beside her was about to become hers completely, Mu Chichi's lips curled up into a beautiful smile. "I thought the notarization would be very complicated." Xing Xiao held Mu Chichi's hand. The two of them were heading to the notary office. They were surrounded by foreigners. But everyone's eyes were focused on the young Asian couple. Because they were eye-catching. If you get married today, you won't have the chance to regret it in the future. So, you have to think clearly now. Before the ceremony, Xing Xiao held Mu Chichi's hands and said, "After today's registration, I will name everything after us. So, you won't be able to escape. I'm married, but you can't be so casual with me just because I didn't ask for a ring or a grand wedding. You have to make it up to me in the future." Mu Chichi said with teary eyes. Xing Xiao could not help but smile. "Do you have any other requests? I'll tell you when I think of something." Even if the country did not acknowledge it yet, it was fine as long as someone acknowledged it. At that moment, Xing Xiao's tall figure shrouded Mu Chichi, giving her the greatest sense of security and belonging. Stupid thing. At that moment, Mu Chichi was wearing the white gown her father had prepared for her. Under the sacred oath, they finally registered their marriage. She had to admit that she was very nervous at that moment. Her hands were shaking uncontrollably. Mu Chichi did not calm down even after the staff repeated the word, "okay," several times. After the notarization, Mu Chichi wanted to call her family to share the good news. But Xing Xiao stopped her. "It's midnight now. If you want to call in the afternoon." Chapter 539. "Mrs. Sheng, you talk too much." Xing Xiao pinched her chin and kissed her deeply. It was just that those words had a different meaning in Mu Chichi's ears. She could now call herself Mrs. Sheng. Happy wedding. And happy birthday, my little wife. At first, the news of Tiffany and Company being in trouble was only spread within the circle. After all, entrepreneurs were very sensitive. However, Xing Kai, who was sitting in the office, did not care. He had just spoken to the person in charge of Tiffany and Company, and now it was just the inevitable result of the internal reshuffle. He insisted on trusting his own judgment. However, during the weekly meeting, there were people who raised their concerns about this matter. But Xing Kai rejected them all. However, the person who was usually the fiercest was unusually quiet today. Xing Kai sneered and asked Xing Bowen to stay behind. Why are you mute today? Xing Xiao is not in the country. Is there no one to give you advice? What I say is not important to you. Why should I ask for trouble? Anyway, you believe that there is no problem with Tiffany and Company now. I have found you a new secretary. Your previous secretary has made a few mistakes in my office. Whatever, said Xing Kai. Although he was not very smart, he could still understand this kind of surveillance. However, it was better to put it in the open. At least it was better than Xing Kai's schemes in the dark. But after third brother walked out of the meeting room, Xing Kai looked coldly at the seat where Xing Bowen was sitting. He said in a low voice, I don't know what Grandpa is thinking. Third brother is not suited to manage a company. If it was not third brother, who was? Was it him? Houston Hotel, America. At night, Xing Xiao brought Mu Chichi to the hot spring on the top floor of the hotel to enjoy the night view of the whole city. There were only the two of them in the huge hot spring. Mu Chichi believed that this man must have spent a lot of effort to decorate the place. Is it our wedding night now? Mu Chichi turned her head and asked while leaning on Xing Xiao's chest. Xing Xiao turned her around and hugged her. What do you think? No, I can't reach the bottom of the pool. I'm drowning. Hold my waist, Xing Xiao whispered. Mu Chichi looked around and suddenly felt a little shy. We're exposed in the air. Aren't you afraid that someone might take a video somewhere? It's only right and proper for me to kiss my wife. After saying that, Xing Xiao's thin face came closer and closer. At the same time, the dazzling fireworks rose into the sky. However, Mu Chichi could no longer care about those beautiful fireworks. She was directly brought out of the pool by the man and walked to the hotel's bridal suite. Have a good sleep in the hotel tomorrow. We'll return to Jianchuan tomorrow night. Why do I have to sleep for a whole day? Mu Chichi wrapped her arms around his neck in confusion. Because tonight, I don't plan to let you rest. Just like that, she married the man she loved and was infatuated with the most in her life. From then on, she had a new identity. Mrs. Xing? On the other hand, Lu Qianxian had gotten the appreciation of many entrepreneurs in the circle after she dealt with her youngest uncle. It was unexpected that such a small body could carry such a big business. She was also very bold. Everyone was saying that this little shrew was not to be trifled with. Now, no one would talk about Lu Qianxian meeting a scumbag anymore. Now, the surprising thing was her ability to manage a business. After understanding some of this and hearing people often praising this girl, old Lin felt that he had not really understood Lu Qianxian as a person. In the past, he only thought that she was extremely ridiculous and did not look like a girl at all. She was a living slut. Although he did not change his opinion of this girl now, at least he saw that Lu Qianxian still had a little bit of good in her. After staying in the hospital for a long time, old Lin's condition was not under control. Then, other symptoms were found and there seemed to be signs of diabetes. When Lu Qianxian knew about this, she immediately asked her secretary to contact a diabetes expert abroad. However, she did not tell old Lin that she was the one who invited the expert. Sometimes she felt that this old man was pitiful and hateful. But in the end he was not as stubborn as old Shen. At least he still had a little sincerity for Lin Muan. Otherwise, when Lin Muan hurt himself, he would not be a threat at all. Therefore, she was willing to do these insignificant things so that one day old Master Lin would no longer reject her so much. She even hid all of this from Lin Mu, and because she knew that Lin Mu and would not allow her to do such a thing. At night, Lu Qianxian lay on the bed and sent a message to Lin Muan. After Dad left, Mommy seems to be very lonely. I want to encourage her to find new happiness, but I know that Mommy will definitely not let go of Dad. Then give her an obedient pet, so that when you go to work she can also have a spiritual support. You're right. Lu Qianxian thought carefully. After all, when we have children it will be a few years later. You want to have children with me? Lin Muan's message was filled with a naughty smile. Go to hell. Okay, when I have a holiday I will come back to eat you, Lin Muan said calmly. Lu Qianxian wanted to tell Lin Mu, and that old Lin's condition had worsened. But she did not want to burden him, so she did not mention anything. She would wait for the foreign experts to come and confirm the diagnosis. To be honest, I miss you now. I usually hug you to sleep. Suddenly, when I return to the dormitory and hear the thunderous snoring of a few men, I feel a little aggrieved. Don't talk nonsense. Go to sleep. Don't you have training tomorrow? Lin moved and looked at his phone and smiled foolishly. Then he hugged his phone and fell asleep. After all, he had a lover and a family. It was in the middle of the night that the Tiffany & Company outside the country was in chaos. The latest person in charge had absconded with his mistress. Now the police were hunting for them. The facade that he had created about Tiffany & Company had been torn apart. This huge jewelry empire was now riddled with holes. The people in the jewelry industry received the news one after another. Many people in Jianchuan also heard the news. However, no one told Xing Kai about this until the next day. At the dining table in the Xing family, Xing Bowen casually mentioned it. Oh yes, I forgot to tell you something. Last night, I received news that the executive chairman of Tiffany & Company has run away. Now the police are hunting for him. Hearing this, Xing Kai looked at Xing Bowen in shock. What did you say? Your hearing is fine. You heard it? Xing Kai was stunned for a moment. Then he took out his phone from his pocket and called the secretary of Tiffany & Company directly. However, the other party told him that Tiffany & Company was in a mess now and no one could manage it. Chapter 540. Xing Bowen put down his chopsticks and looked at Xing Kai coldly. Why didn't I tell you earlier? How many times have I told you that Tiffany & Company has a problem? Did you listen to me? Not only did you not listen to me, but you also increased the investment. We quarreled at home and in the company because of this. Are you blaming me for not telling you earlier? You are crazy. Is it Xing Xiao again? What does it have to do with Eighth Brother? How capable was Eighth Brother to be able to shut down a company in Europe? Don't you think you're overestimating yourself by blaming Eighth Brother when something happens? Eighth Brother has never treated you as an opponent because you are not qualified. Xing Bowen sat down and continued to eat his breakfast calmly. Third brother, your second brother is just anxious. You don't have to help outsiders to deal with your second brother, do you? Gu Xiling quickly stood beside Xing Kai and expressed her opinion. If you and your wife have the time to talk nonsense with me, why don't you do something practical and save Huang Yao's losses? You'd better think about how you're going to explain this to the shareholders. You've lost tens of billions of yuan of investment. When Xing Bowen mentioned the shareholders, Xing Kai suddenly felt a headache. Why did this happen? Grandpa Xing listened to the conversation between the two brothers. After a long time, he said slowly, inform the people to hold an interim shareholders meeting. Grandpa, you don't have to say anything more. Grandpa Xing got up from his chair and went to the study. Xing Kai was furious. He grabbed third brother's clothes. You really put in a lot of effort to pull me down. You are wrong. You are the one who wants to pull yourself down. It has nothing to do with me, third brother said calmly. I will not do as you wish. Let's wait and see. Then third brother broke free from Xing Kai's grip and left the dining room with Hu Ran. Xing Kai's face was pale, but he could not do anything about it. He had made a big mess of a $10 billion deal. But no matter what, he would not let Xing Bowen get what he wanted. Did he want to take the position of crown prince from him? Don't even think about it. The news of Huang Yao encountering the glacier spread very quickly. It also surprised and shocked people. When Huang Yao was handed over to Xing Xiao, there had never been such a big problem or crisis. However, Xing Kai had only been the crown prince for a short period of time, and such a big case had already happened. Anyone would question Xing Kai's ability, let alone the shareholders who were related to their own interests. Soon, Grandpa Xing came out of the room after changing into a new set of clothes. When he passed by the living room, he said to third brother, you should come to the meeting too. Grandpa, I'd better not join in or I'll get into a fight with second brother again. That's not good for solving the problem. Third brother replied. Let's see if he has any contingency plans. So you have it? Ever since second brother proposed to cooperate with Tiffany & Company, I've been against it, but to no avail. For the future of Huang Yao, of course, I can't do nothing. But I can't tell you about this yet because I'm not confident, Xing Bowen said to Grandpa Xing. Old Xing took a deep breath and nodded. I'll go to the meeting first. Xing Kai was responsible for the matter, but did the old man not have his share of responsibility as well? Every time Xing Kai and Xing Bowen quarreled at home, Grandpa Xing would always side with Xing Kai. He rarely listened to third brother's opinion. But now, he had suffered a setback. After Grandpa Sheng left, the living room of the Sheng family finally quieted down, because Gu Xiling just stared at Sheng Bowen silently. After a long while she finally said, "I really couldn't tell that you're so clever." "Same to you." This matter had blown up. Sheng Xiao, who was far away in America, had received the news. He was about to return to Jianchuan with Mu Qiqi. However, when they arrived, the board meeting of Huang Yao had already ended a few times. "I don't know much about the business world. But will this matter shake the foundation of Huang Yao?" "Of course not. The loss of investment is completely different from the Gu family's situation. There are many ways to remedy it." Sheng Xiao answered Mu Qiqi. "These things are very complicated. You might not understand even if I say a few words. Don't waste your brain cells. You just need to know that this is a good opportunity for third brother to take over. Are you really planning to pull second brother down from the position of crown prince?" "It's not me. It's third brother." Sheng Xiao's eyes were half closed as he rested in the VIP lounge of the airport. His tone was lazy, as if this matter did not bother him at all. "Does third brother have such great ambition? It's not like you don't know that he was imprisoned in the Sheng family. Only when he has real power can he really control his life." "Then are you going to help him?" Sheng Xiao shook his head. "I don't want to get involved in the jewelry industry anymore. Moreover, if third brother can't handle this matter, the result will be the same even if the person in charge of Huang Yao is changed." Mu Qiqi could not understand the deception in the business world. She did not want to understand it. "I can only pray for third brother in my heart." At this moment, the atmosphere in the meeting room of Huang Yao was unusually tense. Even Grandpa Sheng was personally involved. One could imagine how big a blow this matter was to Huang Yao. Sheng Kai was sitting in the CEO's seat. However, all the shareholders looked at him suspiciously. Some of them even made things difficult for Sheng Kai. Huang Yao has never had such a failed investment in so many years. When Sheng Xiao was still around, we never sat here to hold anyone responsible for our investments. But today I want to ask you something. CEO Sheng, have you thought of a solution for this matter? How much can the loss be reduced? Before this, third young master strongly opposed it. But CEO Sheng repeatedly assured the board that this cooperation was in the bag. But now, I just want to know who will fill the billions of losses. CEO Sheng, is it you? Old chairman, please give us shareholders an explanation today no matter what. Grandpa Sheng looked at everyone coldly. He did not speak from the beginning to the end. He just stared ahead without moving. Old chairman? Grandpa? Everyone looked at Grandpa Sheng, only to see him suddenly fall down from his chair. Everyone panicked and did not know what to do. Call an ambulance. Call an ambulance. In the end, the meeting could not continue. It was postponed until the afternoon when Grandpa Sheng woke up. When third brother heard the news, he immediately went to the hospital with Hu Ran. But Grandpa Sheng was still in the emergency room. Chapter 541. I'm the only one who's selfish. Aren't you selfish too? Sheng Kai retorted. What right do you and eighth brother have to question me? Calm down. Grandpa is still being examined. He heard you arguing outside. His condition is going to get worse. Hu Ran quickly separated the two of them. How can you still have the mood to quarrel at a time like this? Sheng Bowen let go of Sheng Kai's collar and took a few steps back. The two brothers stood on each side, anxiously waiting for the news from the emergency room. Although they had a lot of hatred and complaints, they could not help but worry when it came to a critical moment. A moment later, the doctor came out of the emergency room and said to the two brothers, "It's not a big deal. He's just in shock because of the lack of oxygen. The patient is resting inside now. Try not to disturb him or stimulate him." "Thank you, doctor." The two brothers heaved a sigh of relief and entered the ward. When they saw Grandpa Sheng sitting on the bed, they walked over together. "Grandpa, how are you feeling?" "Eighth brother, you're back." Grandpa Sheng looked at Sheng Kai and said naturally. Sheng Kai was stunned, and so was Sheng Bowen. In fact, deep in Grandpa Sheng's heart, he had always been worried about Sheng Xiao. He missed Sheng Xiao and wanted to rely on Sheng Xiao. However, the person he wanted to be close to the most was also pushed out of the house by him. "Grandpa, rest well." Sheng Bowen helped him lie down because he could feel that Grandpa Sheng had not recovered yet. "I'll stay here with Grandpa. You should do what you should do." Third brother did not want to quarrel with Sheng Kai now, so he took the initiative to say that he wanted to stay in the hospital. However, Sheng Kai was not at ease. "You're staying here? If you ask Grandpa to make a will or ask him to transfer the shares to you while he's unconscious, I won't know anything. After Xing Bowen heard this, he sneered. This is the first time I've realized that your heart is actually so dirty. I'm just taking precautions. Get out. Unexpectedly, Grandpa Xing shouted at Xing Kai. Do you want me to die? Grandpa, I'm still conscious. Grandpa, that's not what I meant. Grandpa Xing waved his hand and gestured for Xing Kai to leave. If he had not heard it with his own ears, he would not have believed that second brother was so suspicious of third brother. After all these years, he thought that he understood his two grandsons' temperaments very well. His third son had never played any tricks on him, but his second son had become more and more unfamiliar with him. What about Tiffany and Company then? Do as you see fit. If the shareholders aren't satisfied and want to remove you from your position, then just let them be. That was the old man's last hope for Xing Kai. If he could not handle the matter well, it would mean that he was not qualified to continue being the heir of Huang Yao. It was as simple as that. Xing Kai's heart sank. But there was nothing he could do. He could only turn around and leave the ward. There was nothing he could do but go to Huang Yao to think of a solution. It had happened so suddenly that he had to go to Europe himself to understand the situation. After that, the board meeting continued. Xing Kai asked the shareholders for their consent. Give me a week. I will make up for the loss of Huang Yao this time. Thinking that Grandpa Xing had fainted in the meeting room just now, the shareholders did not want to force Xing Kai, so they agreed to his request. Then we will give you a week. If you can't solve the crisis within a week, then we, the shareholders, think that you are not suitable to continue being the CEO of Huang Yao. CEO Xing, you have to take care of yourself. Then Xing Kai asked his secretary to book a plane ticket abroad. He was about to take off soon. As for the hospital, he could only call Gu Xiling. Grandpa is in the hospital now. Third brother and his wife are taking care of him. But Xiling, you know my concern. I can't let third brother and Grandpa be alone together. Don't worry. Leave such a small matter to me, Gu Xiling replied. In the ward, Gu Xiling had not arrived yet. Grandpa Xing leaned against the bed and looked at Xing Bowen. Third brother, tell me the truth. Are you still in contact with eighth brother? Occasionally, third brother replied. But it doesn't involve any secrets. Eighth brother has almost no interest in Huang Yao's matters now. Is that so? Grandpa Xing murmured. Grandpa, you know very well that the company will face the same situation sooner or later if you hand it over to second brother. That's why you are thinking about eighth brother. Grandpa Xing remained silent and did not answer. After a long while, he said to Xing Bowen, I want to see him. But he is not in the country now, then wait for him to come back. I will ask him. Third brother did not dare to tell Grandpa Xing that he was dead. He could only reluctantly agree. Outside the door, Gu Xiling heard the conversation between the grandfather and grandson. The coldness in her eyes was obvious. She did not expect that after such a long time, Xing Xiao was still in Grandpa Xing's heart. It turned out that he had always doubted Xing Kai's ability. He wanted to see Xing Xiao at this time? What did he want to do? Gu Xiling panicked when she heard what Grandpa Xing said. She knew very well that Xing Kai might not be able to keep his position as CEO after the failure of the collaboration with Tiffany and Company this time. Xing Kai had put in so much effort. But in the end, he still could not win against Grandpa Xing's favoritism. He was really heartless. That night, Jianchuan seemed to be especially cold. It was not only because of the weather, but also because of the people's hearts. When Feng Shanshan arrived at the forensics laboratory, she looked around cautiously. It was because she was afraid that another person would jump out when she badmouthed someone else. Seeing this, the professor laughed. Do you really not like Tang Yan? Not really. Feng Shanshan quickly tried to cover it up. Just when the professor was about to expose her blushing face, a police officer knocked on the door. Professor. What's the matter? There was a murder case in a hotel in the city. Captain, please go to the field immediately. I will go immediately after I get ready. After saying that, the professor gestured to Feng Shanshan. Let's go. Chi-Chi is not here, so I can only ask you. Mu Chi-Chi is here. Aren't you going to ask me? Stop talking about Wenju's name. Pack your things. It's a matter of life and death. Having said that, the professor immediately carried the forensics case. Chapter 542. Shanshan, take Tang Yan's motorcycle, the professor said to Feng Shanshan when he saw that the police car was full. But don't tell me you want me to take a motorcycle at my age? Feng Shanshan felt that the professor was doing it on purpose to embarrass her. but for the sake of investigating the case she walked behind Tang Yen and said to him, "Sorry to trouble you, Officer Tang." "Come on." Tang Yen handed the helmet to Feng Shanshan coldly. "Put it on. Hold on tight when the speed is too fast. Otherwise I won't be responsible if you fall to the ground." Feng Shanshan was speechless. Did he think that she was a good girl who had never ridden a motorcycle before? Even so, Feng Shanshan only knew what excitement was when she got into Tang Yan's car. She even felt that she was floating in the air the whole time. Was this man playing tricks on her on purpose? Of course, with such a fast speed, the two of them arrived at the crime scene immediately. Tang Yan showed his ID and the police officers immediately let him in. A total of 4 people died. 1 downstairs, 1 at the staircase, 1 on the bed in the room and 1 in the bathroom. 2 men and 2 women. They are all between 24 to 30 years old. Feng Shanshan could not help but sigh when she saw the tragic scene along the way. They are all slashes. Each of them has at least 5 to 6 wounds. The murder weapon is something like an axe. As for Tang Yin, he did not speak throughout the whole process because he was good at psychological profiling. His eyes were observing the crime scene as if he was not willing to let go of any corner. Soon, the professor and the others arrived at the scene. When they saw Feng Shanshan squatting beside the body at the door, they were surprised. "You're so fast?" "Thanks to a certain someone, we've already looked through the crime scene once," Zhao Yu said. "Can't you slow down when you're carrying a girl?" The professor scolded Tang Yen. "You really don't know how to be tender to a girl." "I'm used to it," Tang Yen replied coldly. "How's the crime scene?" The professor changed the topic. "Look at the body. It's still fresh and warm." "Yes, it happened 2 or 3 hours ago," the police officer at the scene said. "Shanshan, have you done a preliminary examination of the body?" The one at the entrance was slashed in the back. There were a total of 7 wounds, 2 of which reached the heart. The cause of death was due to excessive bleeding. As for the woman in the stairwell, her abdomen and waist were slashed to varying degrees, but we don't know which one was the deadliest. The man on the bed in the room was directly beheaded. As for the man in the bathroom, the way he died is a bit strange. He was pierced through the heart by a sharp fruit knife. The preliminary judgment is that he committed suicide. Beside him there is a blood-stained axe. So, the case can be closed just like that? The young policeman asked them innocently. However, from Feng Shanshan and Tang Yan's eyes, the professor was certain. "It's not that simple, right?" Tang Yan replied, "There are many suspicious points." "Then take the body back and dissect it. Also do a DNA match for these bloodstains. As for the rest, we'll talk about it when we get back to the police station." The captain walked around and said to them, "I still want to take a look at the scene." After saying that, the professor squatted at the place where Feng Shanshan had squatted just now and began to carefully examine the body. He also asked Feng Shanshan to record the shape of the bloodstains. Sometimes, when there were more deaths and the case was more complicated, they could use these bloodstains to reconstruct the murderer's movements at that time. Feng Shanshan did as she was told. She was also very careful. This made Tang Yan's impression of her change a little. At first glance, he could tell that she was familiar with the process. She was not shy at all. What Tang Yan was most afraid of was meeting some naive people when he was investigating a case. Obviously, Feng Shanshan was not one of them. He just did not know what kind of person Mu Qiqi was. An hour later, the police had made a copy of all the evidence that could be taken away from the crime scene. It was time for everyone to leave the scene. The professor glanced at Tang Yan and was about to instruct him, but he was very self-aware. He directly handed the helmet to Feng Shanshan. "Let's go." Feng Shanshan shuddered when she thought of the speed just now. "I'd better take a taxi." "Up to you." After saying that, Tang Yan put away the helmet and got on his motorcycle. The professor was speechless when he saw this. He's really single based on his own ability. No wonder he still can't find a girlfriend after so long. TSK. Feng Shanshan was not shy. She took a taxi herself. She also liked to be straightforward. She hated men who kept pestering her the most. Soon, the group returned to the police station. After all, there were 4 bodies and there were not enough forensic doctors, so Feng Shanshan could only stay to help. However, she did not expect Tang Yan to also know how to dissect. Seeing Feng Shanshan's confusion, Tang Yan explained casually, "I've also learned clinical medicine and anatomy." Feng Shanshan nodded. Although she was not used to it, she still cooperated. "We'll have to stay up late tonight. Be prepared. You help here. Let Shanshan go back. She's a student and she still has class tomorrow." The professor criticized Tang Yin. "I really want to slap you awake." You don't know how to be considerate of a girl at all. Tang Yen shrugged and continued to bury his head in dissecting the body. Professor, I can do it. Feng Shanshan perked up. I only have class tomorrow afternoon. Don't force yourself. Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes and looked at Tang Yen. Don't look down on me. As for Mu Qiqi, who Tang Yen wanted to see, she flew back to Jianchuan from America at 9 o'clock the next day. She and Xing Xiao got off the plane. Before they could go home, she received a call from Xing Bowen. Grandpa is sick. He wants to see you, eighth brother. Xing Xiao held Mu Qiqi's hand and did not give third brother a definite answer. Let me understand the situation first. Trust me. This time, Grandpa won't make things difficult for you. Was Xing Xiao afraid of making things difficult for him? Not at all. He wanted to know how bad Huang Yao was now and what the old man was thinking. Even so, he did not let third brother go. I'll get back to you later. What's wrong? The old man suddenly had an idea. He wants to see me again. Xing Xiao held Mu Qiqi's hand tightly. I'll send you home first. I'm going to Zhongting. No need. I'm not tired yet. If you want to see the old man, you have to bring me along. Mu Qiqi held Xing Xiao's hand. Just send me to the forensics lab. I don't have class in the morning. Not resting? Not jet-lagged? Xing Xiao asked with a hidden meaning. Chapter 543. Xing Xiao stroked Mu Qiqi's hair. Forget it. I can't do anything to you. Then Su Che drove Mu Qiqi to the forensics laboratory. The professor was busy. When he saw Mu Qiqi, he smiled. Xiaoqi, you came back at the right time. Come and help me. You have to wait for me to change and get ready. Mu Qiqi pointed at her clothes. You finally know that you are back. Feng Shanshan walked out of the room. She had dark circles under her eyes and looked very tired. You can help the professor now. I am going to lie on the sofa for a while. Mu Qiqi looked at the corpses on the dissection table. Then she saw a tall man standing beside the dissection table. She frowned. This is the new detective Tang Yen, Feng Shanshan said impatiently. He is good at psychological profiling. Tang Yen stopped what he was doing and took off his gloves. He extended his hand to Mu Qiqi. I have heard a lot about you. I'm sorry. Mu Qiqi extended her hand and shook his hand politely. Then both of them looked away. But Mu Qiqi asked Feng Shanshan with her eyes and mouthed, What happened? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes. I will tell you later. You should understand the case first. What happened to this case? A total of 4 people died. 2 men and 2 women. 3 of them were hacked to death and the last one was stabbed in the heart with a fruit knife. The police have verified the identity and background of these 4 people. From the looks of it, the murderer killed them first and then committed suicide. So we can close the case. But things are not that simple. Then I will look at the corpses first and keep up with your progress. Mu Qiqi said. Then she focused on the corpses. At 10 o'clock in the morning, Xing Xiao appeared in Zhongting's office. His secretary immediately sent him the documents that he needed to deal with. Xing Xiao looked at the documents on the table and said to Su Che, I want to know about the case between Tiffany and Company and Huang Yao. I knew you would ask, so I have investigated it. I got the latest news through some channels. Su Che immediately passed the documents to Xing Xiao. Xing Kai has flown abroad. But the situation in Tiffany and Company is very bad for him. I was the one who handed Huang Yao over to him. I never thought this day would come. Xing Xiao stood in front of the French window, his eyes sharp and cold. That's not something you can control. I'll pick Chi up from school in the afternoon and then go to the hospital. Huang Yao's foundation was strong, and the 10 billion yuan of cooperation would not hurt the foundation of Huang Yao. But even so, it would be a great blow to their vitality, and they would need a long time to recover, unless they could think of a way to remedy it. I remember that the Tiffany family has an elder brother, right? Indeed. When the old chairman passed away, the 2 brothers fought for a long time. Because the elder brother was not a pure Tiffany family member, he lost. If Xing Kai is smart enough, he will know to look for this brother. Wasn't this a turning point? Su Che didn't know what was the point of looking for that big brother in this situation. In the hospital, Gu Xiling told Xing Kai that Grandpa Xing wanted to meet Xing Xiao. On the other hand, Xing Kai finally got off the plane. But before he heard any good news, he was stabbed in the back by his own grandfather. Did his grandfather not believe in his ability? Looking for Xing Xiao now, asking him to come back and hold the fort? He would never allow it. Xiling, listen to what they have to say and be prepared. I will never let Xing Xiao take away everything that I have worked so hard for. I know, Gu Xiling said. However, it was easy for her to make things difficult for Xing Bowen. But how could she stop Xing Xiao? Now, I'll go to Tiffany and Company to understand the situation. The Xing family will depend on you. We are of one mind. Don't worry. Mu Qiqi had to attend classes in the afternoon, so she could only understand the case briefly in the morning so that she would not fall behind. Based on the current situation, the distribution of the blood stains was a very important breakthrough point. In such a case, it was best to reconstruct the movement of the murderer, so that the police could get the most information and help them solve the case. We will wait for you to do the experiment tonight. Let's wait for more information from the police, the professor said to them. Go back to class first. Mu Qiqi supported Feng Shanshan and they took a taxi together. However, when she saw Tang Yen behind them, Mu Qiqi could not help but gossip. This man is so tall and strong and he has a good face. Aren't you interested in him at all? Feng Shanshan rolled her eyes. Don't mention it. I have said bad things about him several times and he heard it. He is not a quarrelsome couple. Enemy my A*S. Any random boyfriend I've had would have a much higher EQ than him. This is an ancient creature. It's better not to provoke it. Feng Shanshan yawned, looking like she wanted to stay away from it. Besides, he is here for you. I have heard a lot about you. I'm married. Don't hurt me, okay? Mu Qiqi quickly said. I forgot that the one in your family is a super jealous king. Then Feng Shanshan closed her eyes. Call me when you arrive at school. However, when school was about to end, Xing Xiao texted Mu Qiqi that he would go to the hospital to see the old man. Mu Qiqi sighed. She might not be able to help the professor with the experiment today. But she did not want Xing Xiao to go back and face Grandpa Sheng and Gu Xiling alone. Although no one could bully her man. It was not bad to go back and see third brother and third sister-in-law. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Su Che drove Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi to the hospital. At that time, Gu Xiling happened to be delivering food to Grandpa Sheng. When she saw Xing Xiao and Mu Qiqi getting out of the car, her chest immediately lit up. So she did not think much and stopped them. What are you doing in the hospital? Don't you think you have hurt Grandpa enough? Su Che. Xing Xiao did not want to talk to her and called out to Su Che. Su Che stood in front of Gu Xiling and reached out to block her way. Miss Gu, I think you can wait here for a while. What if I don't? Then I can tell you clearly that as long as it is someone with bad intentions, I will beat them up regardless of whether they are old, young, or women, Su Che replied coldly. You. Gu Xiling wanted to force her way over, but Su Che pushed her back. Gu Xiling deliberately fell to the ground. You are shameless. You bully a woman. That you're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.